Good morning, party people. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Hopefully you're rocking and rolling. I know I am. I know I am. Howdy, howdy. Hi. Hi, good to see you. Good to see you. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Yes, I forgot to change the Twitter logo to X. I'm a noob. I am a noob. You got me. I'm suffering with scripting on C#. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Did my camera break again? No, but I'm waiting for it. Waiting patiently. Hair looks different. It's because it's what we call a hair helmet. It is mad shaggy right now. I'll tell you what. It's just poofy, poofy, poofy. You are already talked about The Last of Us Part 2 remaster last stream. So last stream when we talked about it, it had been rumored. They hadn't confirmed it. So I think we can probably confirm it. Of Us Part 2 remastered. Okay. And we can watch that. So yeah, we'll get into all that. I can close that down. We don't need the Suicide Squad stuff up anymore. Okay. Lots of extra stuff. All that stuff going on with OpenAI is also sheer madness. We can go through that. It is way crazier than you've probably heard. What's going on over there? Like Unity's ability to implode as a company in about 12 hours was pretty impressive. What they're doing at OpenAI is on that level. It's shocking how insane their decisions have been. It's actually crazy. So we'll get into all of that goodness. Oh, Walking Dead Destinies? Yeah, we can talk about that too. We can talk about that too, because that also looks insane. Okay. Sup, Luke? Failed a cert exam today. Oh, that's okay, Zashi. There's always, hopefully, another attempt. I got to go meet with a lawyer this morning, which was super fun. I mean, the lawyer was very, very nice, to be clear, but it's always like when you go into one of those meetings, you're like, I'm just going in and like, you're going to do 10 minutes of work and I'm going to pay you thousands of dollars. Like, ugh. I see you swapped the Titanic and Hogwarts Castle. Yeah, so the Titanic is now up there, a little more protected, and the Hogwarts Castle's over here. Yeah. Sure is. Avowed, is there anything new to talk about with Avowed? I mean, we can do a deep dive, we can do that, but if we don't have much new info, I don't know how refreshing it'll be. Bully 2 leaks? What was leaked about Bully 2? Was it again just that, I saw one thing where they were saying that they data mined like a work in progress or upcoming titles list, but it was pretty old. Yeah, these are from August. It's clear they were working on a Bully 2 at some point, and then it just keeps getting tossed into development hell. So. Oh, there's a new Suicide Squad video? But I just made my video on it. Oh yeah. Official Harley Quinn trailer. It's 43 seconds long. Should we see this? Okay, official Harley Quinn trailer just went up. Let's see if this convinces us to buy the live service monstrosity.
Harley Quinn. She's a manic one-woman show who takes nothing seriously. But she's useful. Swings hard, shoots fast, and has access to some of Batman's tech. Moves like a trapeze artist and never shuts her mouth.
So, you gonna commute our sentences here, or is there like a ceremony?
Thinking she might be exactly what we need. If I don't blow her head off first. Our world rests in their hands, as long as they find a way to kill the Justice League.
Okay. I mean, yeah. Nothing new. Again, I want to be excited for it. I want to be hyped and stoked on it, but man, I think some people are going to play it and are going to have fun. So far, I haven't seen anything that's like really changed my mind or convinced me that this is not going to be what it looks to be, which is like a live service monstrosity. But we'll see. Again, I would love to be proven wrong. I would love for them to come out and this be like an amazing narrative backed thing, but I'm not convinced. I'm skeptical. Shocker, right? Shocker. Faceless Soul. The concept of this game would be so cool if it was a story game. Well, and that's why they're marketing it that way right now. It's a very intentional thing on their end, is that they're marketing it like it is, even though it's probably not.
Red flag. Love the lighting on the setup.
Oh, thank you, my friend, Bat Family. Thank you. And 11 months, gee whiz. But yeah, we got little puck lights in, so you can see a few of them up here. But they hide under the shelves mostly, and then they light the things beneath them. And I like it. There's probably some fine tuning to do, but yeah, I'm a fan as well. I like them. Thanks for noticing. Appreciate you. Thank you. Also, P Shore 9. Thank you for the sub with Prime over on Twitch. Dab on the haters. Cheerio, my friend. Thank you. The mere announcement of GTA 6 might end up killing the hype, if there is any, for this game. Maybe. I mean, there are people that are genuinely hyped for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. They're seeing all this stuff. They like it. And as crazy as it is for us looking at it, just because you and I maybe are not, like, we see a live service game and that turns us off, there are people who see that and it turns them on. They're like, oh, a game I can play with my friends. We can finally put down, Call of Duty, and we can jump into this. So there are people for whom this fits perfectly. The question is just whether this game is good enough to pull them away from whatever they're currently playing and keep them away long term. Because again, this is supposed to be a live service game. This is supposed to be going on for years and years and years. So if this is a game you play for a few weeks, that's a failure. Even though for a single player game, that would be really good. For this, that would be a failure. Stefan, ooh baby, thank you for the super chat. Hey Luke, an update. I did buy Disco Elysium eventually with a still available IGN Humble Bundle. Oh, cool. Which has a few other great indies. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Just cover your bases. Yeah, that's great. Beard Cules, I think. Hey Luke, found you recently on YouTube and I've loved listening to talk and review games. Glad I could catch a stream. I'm glad you could too, my friend. Appreciate you. I'm glad you're here. Prayers go out to my boy, OpenAI. So OpenAI is screwed, but everybody at OpenAI is going to be fine. Basically, if you're not familiar with what's been going on with OpenAI, the board of directors went in and fired Sam Altman kind of out of nowhere. And Sam Altman was like the CEO. He's a very important person, and like all of the employees loved him dearly, and it was a whole thing. So they fired him, claiming that he was not transparent with the board of directors, claiming that like they would ask him to push certain things or to change certain things, and he either wouldn't or wouldn't respond to them in a timely manner. They basically said he was just unprofessional, wasn't a good CEO in their eyes. So they fired him kind of out of nowhere. And then all of the employees at OpenAI were like, the hell are you doing? And freaked out naturally. And so all of a sudden they started posting, all of these employees for OpenAI started posting, OpenAI is nothing without its people, which is true. OpenAI is just like a brand that you put on top of the talent. It's not anything else. So once this happened, it came out and people started leaking that if they did not reinstate Sam Altman by 5 p.m., by the end of business day, the business day on Friday, I believe it was, that they would all be quitting. Oops. And again, like when like the engineers and the developers just leave, there's nobody to train. Like all of you guys, I'm sure, have worked jobs where when somebody's leaving, they often train their replacement, or even if they leave or are fired or something, and then you come in to take their job, there's still somebody to train you how to do the job because they might have another person there. With this, like, it's OpenAI. They can hire, the board of directors can hire more people, more software engineers and stuff to come in. But if all of the previous employees are just gone, it's going to take so long to figure it out. Let's see. There's just so much crap going on with it. Check out Elon's new tweet. I see SpaceX stuff. I don't see anything from him on this. But anyway, so the board of directors then starts immediately trying to backtrack and figure out what the hell they're doing. And apparently one of the main reasons for this was because our good old friend Satya Nadella, you guys remember Satya with all the Activision Blizzard stuff? This guy is like one of the most impressive businessmen of this century that you might not even know about, but he heads Microsoft, and he is a wizard of acquisitions, of strategic planning, of long-term strategy. Like, this guy is more big-brained than Bezos. Like, Bezos had a lot of really talented people around him. The biggest move Amazon ever made was investing in Amazon cloud infrastructure and AWS. And that was something initially Jeff Bezos turned down and shot down, and he didn't want to do it. He didn't think it made sense. And eventually he was pushed into doing it. And now they make, like, most of Amazon's money doesn't come from Amazon.com. Most of their money comes from AWS, which backs up like Netflix. If you watch Netflix, you're using Amazon servers and stuff. So, Jeff has been helped a lot, but Satya, who also has an amazing team, Satya himself is a force of nature. And apparently when he found out that the board of directors at OpenAI had fired Sam Altman, he was not a happy camper. he was big mad. Big mad. And when this guy's big mad, you're in some serious duty when this guy is big mad. So what happened? Because I think ownership of OpenAI, I think they own 49%. Yeah. Microsoft owns 49% of OpenAI, which means that they can't actually like make the final decisions. They can be outvoted. They own 49% of it. But if the board or other shareholders still want to overpower Microsoft's vote for something that OpenAI does, like keeping Sam Altman as CEO, they can be overpowered. And that's what happened here. So what happened is Satya goes to the board and is like, fix this, dumbasses. And they go back and forth, because basically what would have to happen is that the board of directors would all likely quit and resign, and they'd have to be replaced. And then in order to rehire Sam Altman, they would have to issue a piece of paper saying that he didn't do anything wrong and that he was fired in error, basically, which brings up many issues legally for them, because if he did in fact do something wrong, now they're liable for it. There's all sorts of weird lawyer crap that goes on with it. So they don't want to do that. And they also don't want to quit and lose their position as members of the board of OpenAI, one of the hottest companies in the world right now. And so they dragged their feet. So Satya said, screw you guys. I'm going home. And he went home and he called Sam Altman. And you know what happened? Microsoft just hired him. They hired OpenAI former CEO Sam Altman. Greg Brockman also is joining Microsoft, and they're going to be part of a new advanced AI research team. Now, what's really freaking hilarious about this is that in the span of just a couple of days, Microsoft has effectively directly acquired all of the talent behind OpenAI for $0. I'm trying to find the specific thing I saw. So for free, they've acquired all of the talent. They have basically shut down OpenAI as a competitor now. And just this morning, since all of this news broke, Microsoft's market cap has spiked something insane like $140 billion. All because of this. Madness. Like, to put that in perspective, I think Sony's market cap is like $110 billion. So they just straight up like got an entire Sony for free. Is that not crazy? It's crazy. So, Luke, I'm just worried that ChatGPT won't work anymore and I won't be able to do my projects for school. That's awesome. The talents at OpenAI are the researchers, not the business people like Sam. The problem is for OpenAI is that all of the researchers want to go where Sam goes, because in like, especially new ventures, the CEOs and the leadership are much more important than in like big established corporations. So for startups, for example, or smaller, new, fresh companies that are very high energy, like OpenAI, it's often driven by the CEO, by the charisma of the CEO, the vision, and all of the employees can kind of get behind that CEO to back them up and to be their advocate and everything. Whereas, you know, for big established companies, you look at something like Activision. I mean, the quality of Activision's work has been plummeting, and they have a CEO that most employees openly despise. Like, speaking publicly, they're like, yeah, we hate our boss. And it's just super, super toxic. But in the context of like smaller, high energy, growing companies with like groundbreaking technologies that are doing some incredible stuff, often they're driven by the power of leadership that they stand behind. And in the case of this, I mean, again, the moment it was announced that Sam Altman was leaving, all of the researchers at the company started protesting and signing petitions to quit and go wherever Sam Altman goes. So him moving to Microsoft, they'll all just move to Microsoft. And you better believe Microsoft will find the money in the budget to sign them on. So it's just an example of perhaps some board of director. I don't even know if it's just overconfidence or if it was stupidity, but they really thought they could just blindside fire their CEO and see no repercussions for it. And it's been speculated, it hasn't been confirmed, but it's been speculated that perhaps he was let go because he didn't want to monetize it fully. There's been demands by some people to like open the ChatGPT algorithms and stuff so that they can, for example, scan or write much longer texts. So you could have it write a 5,000 word essay for you instead of whatever it is now, like 500 words where it's capped off. So there's a bunch of little things they wanted potentially to push him to do in order to increase the monetization of ChatGPT that Sam Altman flatly refused to do. And now they're going to be screwed and they're paying the price, which is crazy. It's crazy. So out of all of this, the real winners, Microsoft. Like, Microsoft got ChatGPT and OpenAI researchers and developers and everything basically for free, just cause. It's madness. It's madness. Pop Jake, thank you for becoming a member over on YouTube, my friend. Thank you. Appreciate you. And Gamer Guy, thank you for subbing with Prime. And also Ethereal. Ethereal, thank you for subbing with Prime as well over on Twitch. Wonderful. Appreciate you guys. Thank you. So, yeah, the whole OpenAI madness is looking like it's calming down now. And here we are. I mean, they're basically acquiring OpenAI without buying the company, which is like, it is the dream for a company to acquire a competitor or acquire a company they want while getting rid of any remnants of that competitor company without having to pay for it up front and getting it for free without regulatory hurdles. Because again, like, if they were to buy OpenAI fully, there could be lawsuits, just like we saw with the Activision deal, where it's like, no, this will give Microsoft an unfair advantage, blah, blah, blah. But now they just get the talent and they build their own company and there's no regulatory anything. It's wild. Microsoft's lucky. At this point, I don't think you can say Microsoft is lucky. I think Microsoft is just led by some crazy good managers that make this look easy. But seriously, like, in business school, I read a lot of books about Jeff Bezos, about Satya, about the different management styles and leadership. And no joke, like, there is a reason Microsoft is a multi-trillion-dollar company. So what is Microsoft's market cap? $2.81 trillion. And I mean, you can see, like, over the last 5 years, even just casually marching it up 266%. It's crazy. While many other companies are struggling or plateauing, like, people are freaking out because Apple is super stagnated and are making really weird choices. Meanwhile, Satya is like marching into AI and emerging technologies. And Apple can't seemingly figure out how the hell to get, like, voice to text working. Am I the only one that tries to do voice to text on their iPhone and it doesn't work at all? It's like amazing the basic mistakes it makes. It's like, oh, you said fence, but it thinks that you said fork. And so it just misspells it and then adds in a bunch of screwed up punctuation. And so for me to fix it takes longer than if I just typed it out manually myself. And this is after they said they had a new neural network engine, whatever thing. It's like Apple. And I, for security reasons, I carry a business phone and a personal phone. The business phone is an Android, personal's iPhone. No joke. The voice to text on the Android, ridiculously good. Way faster too. Like, most of my scripts for videos and emails and everything else, I do with this, and I will actively, like, search for where this phone is sitting instead of doing it on my personal iPhone because it's so much better. It's ridiculous. I inhaled a little bit of the spicy chai. Oh, God. Oh. If you don't know, spicy chai is usually made with, like, a little bit of cayenne pepper in it to give it that little zing. So it's like I just inhaled cayenne pepper. Oh, baby. Oh, that's straight fire in the throat. Okay. Oh, wow. Real question. What's the benefit of the new Mac? We were looking for one for my sister outside of the new chip. I don't understand what's actually improved. I mean, it's the new chip. They're really power efficient, which on desktop doesn't really matter for most people. They are more powerful. So that's cool. I think some of the new ones support AV1 decoding for video. That's cool. As YouTube moves that way. So there's a bunch of little stuff like that. But, like, if you're dealing with a Mac that's like 3-4 years old, it doesn't matter. Let's be honest. What's your opinion on The Last of Us Part 2 PS5 upgrade? Let's talk about that. Okay, let's talk about it. Because at the end of last week on Friday, we talked about the leaks about a Last of Us Part 2 remaster that was coming. And then we ended the stream. And then, like, 20 minutes later, they just decided to officially announce it. So let's just look at it right now. They dropped a trailer for this. And I have some mixed thoughts. Okay, I have some mixed thoughts. Before I get to them, let me shout out the super chats real quick. And any new subs, because we got more subs. You guys are crazy. Thank you for all of the subs and memberships and donations and stuff today. You guys are crazy. Let's see. First of all, Noakes, thank you for the 2. Good morning. What are some of your favorite non-fiction books? Non-fiction books? What is the exact name of it? I think I can just pull it up on Kindle. It's by like Lindsay Fitzgerald. I forget exactly what the name of it is called. Of course, I'm not logged in. Hold on. Let me just Google it real quick. Lindsay Fitzharris. That's what it is. Lindsay Fitzharris. This book. I just reread this recently and come on, share that damn screen. I just reread this recently. It's called The Butchering Art, and it's about Victorian, like 19th century medicine and surgery, like right at the cusp of the germ theory of disease mixed with the introduction of anesthesia and anesthetics and stuff. It's fascinating. It takes you right back to a period of time that is so foreign, but also not that far back, where like, oh, you have like a scratch on your knee. Okay, well, let's cut off your leg. It's crazy. It's crazy. But this, as a nonfiction book, is crazy. Also, it's about Joseph Lister's quest to transform the grisly world of Victorian medicine. And you know, John Lister, guess what popular household item is named after him? Listerine. Listerine mouthwash. That's where this comes from. That's where that name comes from, is from Joseph Lister, who is like a 19th century surgeon that could cut off legs in like 7 seconds. It's crazy. So nonfiction book, probably that. It's very good. And it's very recent. She has a bunch of other books that she's done that are very, very good. The other one she's done that's really good is the Facemaker, which she put out like a year or two ago. Yeah, June 22. And it's also on surgeons helping people as they came back from World War I with like facial deformities and stuff from like shrapnel and stuff like that. And then them coming in and giving them facial prosthetics and stuff to help them live a somewhat normal life. It's really, really good. Really good. That one guy, also thank you for the $4.99. Just got here. I don't know if you're talking about books, but I highly recommend Always with Honor. Well, there you go. Always with Honor. That's also one to toss out. Thank you for the 5. I'll check that out as well. Let me just copy it into another tab so I can post it. Okay, there. I can check it after the stream. Awesome. Thank you for that. And then over on Twitch, thank you to GamerGuy17 for subbing with Prime. Appreciate you, my friend. Thank you. Thank you. And also for Mr. Carballo RCL. Thank you for resubbing with Prime for 2 months. Ooh, baby. 2 months. Here we go. Buckle up, buckaroo. Thank you, my friend. Okay. Let's do this. Let's do this. Okay. Yeah, we'll talk about The Walking Dead Destinies. Don't worry. We'll get to it. But okay. Let's look at this trailer for The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. My knee-jerk reaction to this is I don't understand why we need this here. I still think the game looks incredible, but maybe with this trailer, our minds will be changed. So let's see what they're bringing to the table.
I don't know what happened. I was supposed to take her to the Fireflies and walk away.
Tommy!
Because of her, they were actually going to make a cure. The only catch. Sweet Jesus.
Doctor? What are you doing in here?
It would kill her.
Even if we found her, or by some miracle found someone else that's immune, it made no difference. Because the only person who could develop a vaccine is dead.
No! No! I know all the leads have dried up, but Joel's still out there, you know?
We're gonna have to run! say whatever speech you got rehearsed. Get this over with.
You don't get to rush this.
New content. Lost levels. No return.
You can't stop this.
Available in January. Okay. So I tweeted out a little or I retweeted basically, because that's how it works. I'm hip and young and swag like that. This little thing from Pio, sorry, which is an actual side-by-side or top to bottom comparison of the before and after. One of these is taken from the PS4 Pro, and one of these is taken from the PS5 Remastered Edition. Now, I don't like, and they show like this is actually the before and after. Like, this is what it is. So, I personally can't tell a difference. I can't tell. Now, part of that could be that it's Twitter compression. It could be that, you know, in motion it looks better. But realistically, I think in cutscenes, you're not going to be able to tell much of anything. Like, I think it's going to look pretty much identical in cutscenes. Where it's going to be different is probably in gameplay. You're going to see denser vegetation. Hopefully, you're going to see higher quality textures, things like that, which I'm here for. I mean, but already, like, the game was generation leading graphically, and it was well ahead of the generation when it came out. So now, I mean, to see it remastered for the PS5, it just shows you how far ahead of its time it really was. But, you know, as far as visual upgrades, I don't think it's a reason to order it. Frankly, I just don't see it myself. One of the things that I do think is really interesting about it is that they're not just doing a visual upgrade, they're also bringing in new content, new items and things. So you get new outfits, which for some people is going to be like awesome. Other people like me, I don't care really. I see Ellie running through like this like overgrown area in Seattle with Seraphite shooting at her in a gigantic astronaut outfit. That takes me out of the game, and I get it, it's for subsequent run-throughs and stuff. Game progression required to unlock Ellie astronaut costume. In the remake of part 1, you had to finish the entire game to be able to use the cosmetics and stuff. So I would expect it's the same thing here. This is only for subsequent runs, in which case, whatever, who cares? As for whether that justifies buying an upgrade, I don't think this does for me, but that's just me. Maybe for you it does. You know, new skins for Abby and everybody. That's cool. What really intrigues me are the lost levels, which the devs have said are basically just cut content. It was sections of the game that they had that they then cut as they got closer to launch, maybe because they couldn't polish them, or there wasn't just, they just didn't think it helped the pacing, so they just cut it. So that's really, really cool to me. I wonder to what degree these are included though. Like, is this just a level that you walk through and then maybe some enemies are here, or is this going to bring in new dialogue, new lore, new elements to the story? That could be really, really cool to see. And this almost by itself to me makes me want to try it, because I know for a fact that there was one scene, for example, that was cut as they got closer to launch, where we actually saw in a flashback Ellie and Joel writing, you know, the part where they're going to look for guitar strings and then they go to like the resort and everything. There was going to be a section like that where they go off and they are checking on Joel's girlfriend that lived outside of Jackson. And basically when they arrive, they see that she's been bitten, and Joel stays back with her as Ellie goes outside. You hear a gunshot, and then Joel comes out, and you don't know if she did it to herself to avoid turning, or if Joel did it to put her out of her misery. But it's like a little moment to just show that like Joel has been trying to bond with people and he keeps getting burnt by it, which could justify why he's extra protective of Ellie even now. But that was cut as they got closer to launch. And so to see new levels like this that were in the game at one point that were cut and dropped, that gets me really excited. I'm very interested in that. So, this is awesome. New areas to walk through, hopefully new lore. Guitar free play. I'm nowhere near talented enough to do this, but I've seen some people do some incredible stuff with the guitar, even without the free play mode. So that's super cool to see. And then the survival mode. This just takes me back to the good old days of gaming, like 10, 15 years ago, when almost every game had little spin-off modes like this. So I love this. This is super cool to see, where it's like, you want to get used to the combat? Yeah, you can use whichever character you want and just fight waves and waves. So for me, I love it. I love it. I kind of half expected The Last of Us Part 2, or The Last of Us Factions Part 2, whatever they would have called it, to be like this. So to see that this is just included is super cool to me. And perhaps the best part of this whole thing is that they are offering a $10 upgrade path if you own it on PS4 or the PS4 version. So only $10 to get Lost Levels, a remastered version, and then a brand new survival mode. That I find much more compelling. Honestly. Like, yeah, I know some people are like, this would have been a free update on PC. Maybe for some games, sure, but for $10, I find that to be much more fair. If they were charging $70 for this, I'd be like, get out of town. But for $10 for an upgrade, like, honestly, I could see going through it. There is also a physical version. Oh, interesting. Wait, how does this keep dripping on me? Like, this coffee is freaking me out, dude. Somebody's gonna clip that and just be like, Luke's saying, how does this coffee keep dripping on me? Last time, like on Friday, I got a coffee from the same place, and it's the back of the cup that like somehow drips on you. It's weird. It's weird. But yeah, for $10, I think that's fine. And it's gonna be $70 probably for new players that are gonna be getting it after watching the HBO series. Again, kind of to be expected. There's nothing that insane there. So yeah. I'm not as thrown off by this. I think of all games that could have gotten a remaster, this one probably needed it the least, frankly. But to offer a $10 upgrade path, I think is the most pro-consumer way they could have done it. So I'll give them props. And, you know, that's part of trying to be fair, is that we give props when they deserve it, and we make fun of them viciously when they make stupid mistakes. So yeah. So let's see. Real quick, thank you to Demons Traps for subbing with Prime over on Twitch. Shout out, my friend. Thank you. And let's see, where are we? Fantasy Files, thank you for the 5. Do you have any favorite fantasy books you should read? Dresden Files. It's like Harry Potter for adults. Very, very good, especially for the audiobooks. Oh, interesting. I will pull that up in another tab. I have not read that. My knee-jerk reaction is just to say, The Witcher. But yeah, I'll pull that up. I'll look that up. Nashman, also 4 months of membership. Oh, baby. Hey, Luke, pleasure to be here for 4 months. I won't lie. I will probably pay the tenner for The Last of Us 2. It's a great game. Gotta love another platinum. I think, honestly, for $10, it's fair. And, I mean, realistically, for the Lost Levels, I'll probably replay the whole thing again. So $10 for a fresh playthrough that might, I mean, honestly, cutscenes might look identical, but one thing I did see when I replayed it recently is that there was a lot of, like, the grass did not look anywhere near as good as I remember it looking. So I think if they improve that, I'm in. So yeah, And thank you for 4 months. That's wild. You're on your way. Nolan, hey Luke, how do you stream your PS5 audio? Aux to PC, splitter, separate headset? No, everything goes into an HDMI splitter. So the sound output goes through the HDMI, just like if you're sending it to a TV. And then that gets routed out to the capture card. So it shows up as audio within the capture card source. And then I just set it to monitor only. And so it sends the audio to the centralized output for my headphones. And then that is set as its own input on the Go XLR. So then it captures the audio from there. That probably was very confusing. I'm sorry. It's a very complicated setup. We are working on a studio tour though. So I'll have a studio tour up potentially late this week, early next week. Should be super cool. Some suggestions for PC, headset, TV, and sound system from headsets. If you want quality, go Sennheiser. If you want convenience for gaming, go with like Logitech Astros. If you're looking for TV audio, I mean, you can go Sonos. That's like a really solid choice for most people. So Sonos, either with one of their sound bars like the Beam or something else, you got options. As for sound systems for homes, if you like heavy bass stuff, look into Definitive Technologies and their tower speakers. They're pretty cheap, but they each have built-in subwoofers that are like 10 to 12 inches, depending on which one you get. They are, mighty powerful. And then beyond that, there's, if you're looking for like clarity, go Bowers & Wilkins. Bowers & Wilkins are the speakers that like the Beatles balanced their music off of and master their music with. So if you want really clear, precise quality audio, go Bowers & Wilkins, but those are pricey. That's the downside of it, but everything has pros and cons to it, right? Tenacious Beagle, also thank you for becoming a member and for the super chat. Hey Luke, do you see the live service game bubble bursting at some point? And if so, when and how do you see it playing out? Personally, I don't see it like popping and them just stopping it. I think it might change forms here and there. Like, for example, if you go back to 2017, every game had loot boxes. And then like Battlefront 2 and Shadow of War both happened very close to each other and were so terribly monetized, and the loot boxes were so insane that they kind of were shamed out of existence. And so I think after that, what happened is everything shifted and they went to this battle pass system. And so the live service was still there, but they shifted it and rewrapped it under battle passes. And now as players get frustrated with battle passes and fed up with it, you'll probably see them try to shift it into a new pricing model. What that looks like, who knows? It might be just subscription-based stuff. It might be that they find a way to charge you for like straight up gotcha pull systems for cosmetics and stuff in the game, which some games are already doing. So they'll just keep experimenting with different stuff. The thing is, there's always going to be live service games. They're just going to keep rewrapping it into different packages. Back in the day, you could have argued that like live service games would have been like those arcade games that you pay 25 cents for 5 minutes of play for. And now, that idea is insane. Like imagine playing Fortnite and having to pay 25 cents an hour or 25 cents every 10 minutes or something. Everybody would freak out, and justifiably so. But there's always been the desire to milk customers for more money, and that will never go away. It's just going to change form. Let's be honest. They ain't giving up that easy. They ain't quitting. I ain't quitting on you. Bishop Entertainment, thank you for becoming a member as well. Crimson Kid, thank you for becoming a member. And Handheld Gaming TV, thank you for the $1. Appreciate you, my friend. Much love. Much love. And I shouted out Demon Traps as well over on Twitch. Quomez, thank you. Greetings from Brazil. Greetings from sunny, beautiful Colorado. I want God of War 1 and 2 remastered like God of War 3. Yeah, honestly, if they did like the Uncharted collection where it was Uncharted 1, 2, and 3 in one package, but remastered, if they did that with God of War, dude, I'd be so down. I'd be so down. Easy money for real, dude. Easy money. With the advent of AI, the next phase will be to subscribe to realism. You wouldn't put it past him. Luke, what are your thoughts on Alan Wake 2 as a narrative game? Also, is the first Alan Wake worth playing for the story? At this point, playing it, I don't know if it's worth going through. I'm sure, you know, diehard Alan Wake fans will be like, of course you should. But you can get most of it through a story recap pretty quickly. The game writer actually did a story recap that was really, really good. So you can look it up, you know, Alan Wake 1 story recap developer or whatever, and you'll find it. It's from IGN. It's like 15 minutes long or something. But it's good, but the gameplay is definitely, it's aged a lot. As for the story of Alan Wake 2, I found it really wacky and crazy. It did at times, I feel like, lean into the sort of Kojima style of things where it's like, this is really confusing and we're just going to leave it confusing and it doesn't really make sense, but that's part of the mystery. And it's like, I'm not convinced they have answers for all of this. It just seems like they write something crazy and insane and then they're like, we'll figure it out later. You know, and some people care about that. Some people, you know, that's a pet peeve. If you can just turn your brain off, I think it's fine. But yeah. Let's see. What about Alan's sleep? That's the real question. That's the real question. What's your top 3 games that came out this year? There's been so many good ones. Yeah, Demons, there really has been. Top 3 probably, like I'm throwing out Baldur's Gate 3. One of my favorites just personally that I had a lot of fun with was Hogwarts Legacy. And then third pick, I mean, there's so many options. What do I give the third spot to? I don't know. It's tough. There's so many. Like Spider-Man 2. I don't know. I didn't have like a magical experience with Spider-Man 2. To me, it just was like, a game. Like to me, it didn't feel amazing or anything, which kind of surprised me, honestly. I was kind of like expected to like it a lot more. But the story was so painfully predictable, you know, like you could see everything coming from a mile away, and it just removed all the stakes from the story. Personally, for me, like it was way too kitschy. Hogwarts Legacy is clearly forbidden, Luke. Yeah, maybe Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom, though, also was kind of weird for me because I played it, had an amazing time, but I just kind of burnt out on it. Like, I reached a point where I was like, I don't feel like I need to keep going. You know, like, it was odd. I didn't expect to feel that way playing it. I expected to just keep going and keep going and keep going. But, like, yeah, it was surprising to me. Yeah, okay. I've got this. Phantom Liberty, yeah. I mean, if you can count Phantom Liberty as its own game, I will throw that in probably as number 3 as my favorite. But because it's an expansion, I can understand why people be like, it doesn't count. It doesn't count. You know, I think it's fair. Armored Core 6 is also very good. I actually have the collector's edition right there. It's one of the less well lit ones, but it's because it's so big, it doesn't fit in the shelves with all the others. So it has to be on like one of the bigger shelves. But yeah, I thought it was great. Resident Evil 4 remake was also really good, but also for me, it wasn't like a magical experience. It was like, yeah, that was fun. That was good. There's a few games that I was like, this is a game I'm going to be remembering and talking about for a while. And that was like, you know, Baldur's Gate 3, Phantom Liberty. I felt that for sure. Hogwarts Legacy, I think we'll be referencing a lot. Lies of P was very, very good. I think that's definitely a contender. But like Spider-Man 2, Tears of the Kingdom, I was like, these are very good games, but they just aren't, it's not the same magical feeling I felt as when I played the first one. You know, like the first Spider-Man game on PS4, it was like, this is like my childhood all over again. This is like a refresh. It had plenty of problems, sure, but it was crazy to feel like Spider-Man again. But, and same with like Breath of the Wild. The first time I played that for like 100 hours without breaking a sweat, just like not even a hint of fatigue. But with Tears of the Kingdom, I played it a bunch, and then I was like, I think I'm good. You know, just not that novel. Exactly, Ethan. Like it's like, it's very good, but it's like when you have an amazing meal at a restaurant, and it's like your new favorite restaurant, and you tell all your friends about it, and then you bring your friends to that restaurant again, and it's still good, but it's not the amazing experience you remember having because you've already been there. You've already had your high, and then it's just downhill from there, you know? Nothing beats that first high, I'll tell you what. Okay, this next thing I want to do is going to be interesting, okay? I'm actually going to make a straw poll. Straw poll is still a thing, right? Okay, create. Okay. What do you think about skill-based matchmaking? Okay. So for those of you not familiar, skill-based matchmaking, or SBMM, is where games like Call of Duty will dynamically change which lobbies you're being placed into, and will place you in there based on like your KD, based on playtime level, that type of thing. And the developer's idea is that it makes sure that every player ends up in a lobby consistently that's challenging. You know, you're not ending up with like a professional player playing against 12-year-olds. The professional player will be playing with other professional players or people who are on their level, roughly. And so it should make every game difficult and challenging. That's the idea behind it. For players, often it just feels like every game is sweaty, every game is difficult, there's no chill anymore, you don't get to just curb stomp people. Every game you have to be on your best behavior, and so a lot of players don't like it. So I'm gonna go with options. It sucks, remove it. Option 2, remove it in unranked, but keep in ranked modes. Okay. Don't care, or I like it. It makes sense. Okay. So we're going to do 1 vote per IP address. Allow selection. No, we don't need names. That's fine. Okay. Create poll. And I'm going to paste this into the chats, okay? Here we go. Let's paste it into the chats. I can't paste it there. Okay. Do you guys see it? Did it work? Maybe. Maybe it didn't. Or did it not work? I don't think it worked. Okay, I might have to manually post it. Well, no, that one worked. No, it did work. Okay. That's there. So if everybody can go in and vote. The reason I'm pulling this up, and we'll look at the results here in just a minute while you guys vote on that. The reason I wanted to bring this up is because the devs of Call of Duty, they went over to Reddit and didn't ask me anything in the AMA. And they took questions ahead of time, and pretty much all of the questions were about skill-based matchmaking. It's, you know, guys, just address skill-based matchmaking. I can't generate an enjoyable experience playing with my less skilled friends as they get dragged into my lobbies, which are inevitably always filled with sweats. Please address this, as the community has already notated it as the biggest issue plaguing the industry at the moment. Can you tell us everything about the matchmaking practices going on? I feel like I'm playing every time out of my region, and every match feels and plays like a final tournament. I think casual multiplayer playlists should not feel like that or feel like work. Will you be turning down skill-based matchmaking? It's exhausting going against sweats, tryhards 90% of the games. I get one game of casual play, but do pretty good. Then I'm off to the races once again. Why don't you guys get rid of skill-based matchmaking in public matches? Blah, blah, blah. Like, it's all over the place. People constantly bringing this up. And there's been articles written like this one from Games Radar. Wanting an even playing field in your online lobbies isn't a skill issue. This is an opinion piece, to be clear. It's pretty simple. Skill-based matchmaking improves first-person shooters for most players. The idea just being that for every time that you play against a noob or somebody that you curb stomp, you're having a great time. Those other people are not. The person being stomped on is having a really bad time. So the idea is it gives everyone a similar experience. Now, the critics would be like, who cares? If everybody's experience is the same, it doesn't help because the experience is bad, right? Like, didn't actually do anything. So your responses that you guys have voted on thus far are as such. 55-ish% of you say remove it in unranked, but keep it in ranked, which is my personal stance, and I'll explain why in a moment. 22% of you say I like it, makes sense. 13% say you don't care, and 10% of you say it sucks, remove it. So the reason why I take the stance of remove it in unranked, but keep it in ranked, is because in unranked, if you remove skill-based matchmaking and it is just a total free-for-all, it's just a toss-up. You go in, you're playing unranked. You might get some very sweaty players. You might play against a pro that gets 50 kills in the lobby, sure. But chances are you won't, because people that are really good at the game often are grinding ranked modes, so you're not going to see them in casual matches very often. So that's one thing. You know, I think that it would address that. And secondly, it would just open everything up to just randomized matches, and it would be fine. And if you want consistently difficult and challenging matches, just put it in a ranked mode. Easy peasy. Like, it doesn't have to be that complicated. Now, the thing with all of this is, like, if everybody agrees on this and everybody's saying that, like, you should be getting rid of skill-based matchmaking, why don't they do it? Well, it's either just incompetence, or it's that they have stats that are demonstrating this is actually something that's a net positive for players. And this is something we've seen in the past with other games where it's kind of, it's not common sense. It goes against your intuitions, where sometimes something that players don't like or say they don't like actually leads to more consistent engagement, more consistent playtime hours. It could be the case that when you have skill-based matchmaking, people play more matches than if they're able to just curb stomp on everybody in random matches. I don't know though, but this is part of the thing, is that they haven't said this. Like, they'll say stuff like, I think it wasn't Sledgehammer Games, it was maybe when Warzone first dropped or something like that, but one of the devs said that they did skill-based matchmaking testing, and they found that consistently it led to players playing more often for longer periods of time. So even though they said they didn't like it, they were playing the game more as a result of it, so they're keeping it. And I would love to see the data for that. Like, I would just find it so fascinating. But we've said many times before on this channel that often perception is more important than reality, or as some people say, perception is reality. Because if the perception is that skill-based matchmaking is killing the game, they have to address it. Like, they have to deal with that. And if they want some quick brownie points, they can get rid of it in public lobbies and do some testing with it, whatever. I will say it is freaking hilarious to me that you'll see professional streamers and COD players bitching about skill-based matchmaking. And it's like, let's be honest, like, you just want to be able to hop on stream and play games where you're curb stomping on people with like a 1 KD or a 1.5 KD because you have a 6 KD, you know, like, shut up. You know, nobody feels bad for you that, oh no, you have a little bit of challenge and you're a world-class player. you know, I respectfully don't give a shit. But for like the average consumer, I can see why they would want to try and match it up a little more consistently than that. But that's why, again, I think just removing it, as the majority of you guys voted, I think if you just removed it from unranked, put it in ranked, it fixes all the problems and everybody can be happy. If you want just the casual experience where it's a free-for-all, go in unranked, whatever. If you want a not very challenging experience, go in ranked. Or if you want a really challenging experience, you go in ranked and it'll be consistently challenging. If you want the free-for-all, you can do that in unranked. Easy peasy. You just open it up. Just do an audio. Use a VPN. Yeah. Activision said that skill-based matchmaking exists in COD since 2010 or 11, but it was weaker than it is now. Well, and they had much fewer players than now. I mean, now these games are bigger than ever. They love their numbers and not player fun in a balanced way, I suppose. Yeah, well, it's something that a lot of developers have spoken to recently. There's that Gabe Newell interview just the other day where he just described how when they were developing the original Half-Life games, it was like, just because something is realistic doesn't mean that it's fun. Just because something might make sense in one context doesn't mean it'll make for a good video game or a fun video game. And I think that's really valid. Like, there's a difference between realism. There's a difference between giving customers maybe what they think they want and what's actually going to be the most fun at the end of the day. And that's why, you know, game designers are experts in their own field. I mean, it's not as simple as just throwing a game together. But with all this, I mean, it's still just so funny that they refuse seemingly to talk about it, because it seems like it should be a layup. Like, just talk about it openly. And if players really want no skill-based matchmaking, just remove it for the easy brownie points. Like, why not? And then if it doesn't work, you can introduce it again. Like, but just do that. But let's be honest, I think Activision Blizzard at this point, they are very, very fractured as a studio. Like, the quality of their work is so inconsistent. It's crazy. You know, like, who's trusting them to do anything? Demons, I would be happy if they showed anything or talk about it, let alone remove it from pubs. I thought it was for safety for people that struggle playing games, but it's not fun even for casuals. Well, yeah, it makes it so casuals hop in the lobby and they might have one really easy match, but if they do well, they will then immediately get slingshotted up the ranks into a more difficult lobby, and so then they get curb stomped. So it's just this yo-yo between doing okay in a match and then getting curb stomped and then doing pretty good and then curb stomped and then doing pretty good and curb stomped. And it's just a constant fluctuating thing that isn't very fun, which is why I think what we have now is just the worst case scenario for both. Like, it's not the best of both worlds, it's the worst of both worlds. Like, just pick one and stick to it. Like, it just drives me crazy. Skill-based matchmaking thinks I'm better than I am. It can feel like that for sure. Not even pro players like Scum have a 6 KD due to skill-based matchmaking. Well, I think that was their goal, was to reduce the peak of the peak. Because let's be honest, like, what was that? Hold on, let me pull it up. There was, I think it was Aiden, it was like Warzone kill world record, I think. Yeah, it was years ago. I think this is it. Oh man, these these Fortnite Call of Duty thumbnails, man. Is this what I need to start doing? Is this what I need to start doing? These faces? Is that the key? Clearly. Dude's got a 1.4 million subs. What am I doing? What am I doing with my life? Oh, geez. But with this one, like, what happened in this match, like, he goes in, and if this is the match I'm thinking of, which it might... No, it might be. I think this is Verdansk. What he did is he goes into quads playing solo. So he's a one-person team, and he's fighting teams of 4. And he's doing that because at this particular point in the game's history, basically what would happen is they would take the KD of the team and like average it. But for him, it would mean that he could basically end up in lobbies with teams with really low KDs because he was only one person and the other team was 4. So they'd be averaged differently. That's my understanding, which is why the lobby he's in is so much easier. Like if he has, say, a 3 KD or a 4 KD, you would think he'd be playing against other 4 KD players, but no, he's playing against 1 KD players because they divide his by 4 for the squad of 4, even though he's playing alone, right? So he goes in and just curb stomps people that are significantly worse than him. And you see by the end of the match, he's all the way up at 59 kills. And he finishes this out with 60 kills. Like, and it's pretty much because he's what is it, boosting? I think it's boosting when you you artificially drop your KD so you get into easier lobbies. Like it's basically what this is. Still, Aiden is a world-class player. I mean, he's an amazing player, there's no doubt. But the only reason he was able to get this record break was because of how this matchmaking system handled KDs and stuff, and it just kind of broke. And so, like, I think Activision developers look at this and see this as a problem because one guy is going into a lobby with more casual players and ruining their day by just curb stomping on them, you know, for some quick views and stuff. Reverse boosting, it's called. Okay, reverse boosting. So I can understand why they look at this and they see this as a problem. The question is whether skill-based matchmaking fixes it. And what very well could be the case is that this is just a very vocal minority. It could be that the vast majority of players don't see this as that big of a deal. A lot of casual players might not even know what skill-based matchmaking is. And, you know, they don't really care. And they're just having a good time playing the game. I don't think skill-based matchmaking is what's killing Call of Duty. What's killing Call of Duty is its like Fortnite-ification with them trying to get in here and turn everything into Fortnite. But that's just me. Yeah. Like, look at that. The fact that he's still alive after that, when they're driving straight, he's the only one in the car in the driver's seat, and they don't shoot him. Like, I'm not very good at these games. In my lobbies, if I was in this car, I would be dead. I would be shot out of this instantly. So like he's in a lobby that is like, and look at these people charging. Like, who charges up the stairs with like that? Like, granted, this is 2 years ago, but I don't think players have been that dull for I just don't see that as a thing. You know, like he's in a very, very easy lobby, way weaker than him. But this is what can happen if you don't have something like skill-based matchmaking. So I think skill-based matchmaking is trying to address a serious, like an actual problem, a real problem. But like I still think that you could have a solution that keeps both parties happy, where if you want to play matches like this and it's a total free-for-all, you can go unranked. Or you know, if you want it to be more challenging, you can go ranked. But at the end of the day, I mean, maybe with all of this, it is just about preservation of the casual player because they're the ones that mostly will suffer. And so maybe for them, it's just like they've looked at the numbers and they've seen that casual gamers are overwhelmingly the ones that spend money on the games. So they should just keep the casual players more happy. And maybe that's the whole play. Maybe that's the whole thing. Playing against better players when I was younger made me a better player today, but with skill-based matchmaking, I'm not getting better. I play people the same as me. Listen, I mean, I always feel like when I pop into the skill-based matchmaking servers, I always feel like personally I'm immediately going up against people that are a good bit better than me, which like it's challenging and keeps the game engaging. But yeah, I can see why people get frustrated with it. Yeah, Lucas, in random matchmaking, you get curb stomped by 3 players. In skill-based matchmaking, you get curb stomped by everyone. Yeah. And one of the big problems with SBMM is bad connections. Well, perhaps that's one of the secret or not so secret problems with all of it, is when they're trying to match you up with similar KD players and stuff. If they're like, hey, we only have this chunk of people that have would fit into this tier of player with these other players, they have to pull them from farther and farther away to toss them in a lobby together. And so the ping times are all over the place. Connections are varied. You know, if you have a game that has like 44 million players actively, like in a single day, like Fortnite had, then it's probably not a problem. But I don't know. Does Fortnite even have skill-based matchmaking? I don't even know. Having a harder match and winning it gives you good emotions, and that means you're going to play the game again. Yeah. And I think it also, players maybe are just more likely to stay in the game and spend money when they feel like they died fairly against somebody who is just honestly better than them, than when they're playing a game and get like absolutely curb stomped by like an Aiden getting a 60 kill game as a solo player in quads. Yeah, so maybe I don't know, but it's an interesting issue, and it's one that certainly the devs have thought a lot about. It's just funny that they kind of refuse to talk about it, because it seems like they should just have very clear answers. Listen, we've done the research, we have the numbers, this is what the data shows, this is why it works the way it does. We will not take any further questions. That's what it is. Suck it. Like, if they just said that, I'd kind of respect it. Okay. But they always beat around the bush, and it's always like, well, we want to make sure everybody has a good time while playing our game. I'm like, show us why it leads to that. Like, come on. Fortnite does have SBMM. It's just overshadowed by the bots in the game. Okay. I will say I have seen a good number of bots for real. It's based off the lowest member of the party, unlike COD. Okay. Okay. Interesting. I'm a console player on PS5 and I just get matched with full lobbies of PC players constantly. Can't you? I think you can turn that off, can't you? You turn off crossplay, but I mean, then it greatly increases your lobby like queue times, doesn't it? Or do they not let you turn that off anymore? Maybe they did that. Maybe they removed the ability to do that. Overwatch 2 has terrible skill-based matchmaking where if you win like 5 games, there's a chance for top tier players to be in your games warming up for competitive. This is quick play. Oh, really? Oh yeah, that sucks. The Peghead says, Luke, just watched your Last of Us 2 review in one sitting. The game literally got stuck with me. Love the review. Can't help but ponder the story. Oh yeah, dude, for real. I still ponder that story, even now. All these years later. Banana Wings, thank you. Thank you, my friend. Sorry, everybody, for me taking my time getting back to all of this stuff. You guys are being very generous today. I do appreciate it. Banana Wings, thank you for the 10. Hey, Luke, appreciate your brain. Thank you, my friend. Me too. On the topic of SBMM, I recommend you take a look at Max Hoberman's latest tweet. He talks about his work with SBMM in Halo 2. Okay, interesting, Max Hoberman. Okay, I have it pulled up. We'll look at that in just a second. Let's see. Alonzo, also thank you for the 5. I'm a console player, and I think you should be able to play only console players if you want. PC players made it annoying, and Sony and Apple merge. Oh, like, do I think Apple is going to buy Sony? I don't think so, honestly. I don't know what Apple gets out of that that's really valuable for them. I don't foresee Apple doing that. Apple's very selective with acquisitions. I just honestly don't see them doing it. Yeah, they get PlayStation, but everything else Sony does is kind of just, it would be an albatross around their neck. I wouldn't really see them doing it. Mr. Mo, thank you for the 8 months as well. Hey Luke, so glad you and your family are doing right after that BS. Not able to watch live often, but I was furious when I heard what happened. Much love. Thank you, my friend. And yeah, we're doing much better now. We're rocking and rolling. Like I said, I had a meeting with a lawyer this morning. We're getting all sorts of stuff sorted out. So we're doing good. We're doing good, my friend. Thank you. Let's see. Von Lowe, thank you for the sub with Prime. Campbelltron, thank you for subbing with Prime. Mandrate, Mandrate, I don't know. Thank you for subbing with Prime as well. And Cooked Tomato, thank you for subbing at tier 1, my friend. Appreciate you guys. And with that, you know what happened on Twitch, which we didn't even used to stream on until they announced they supported co-streaming again. On Twitch, we've officially surpassed 100 members or 100 subs. See, I even screwed up the announcement. We officially passed 100 subs on Twitch. Shout out.
Shout out to the chess club.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you, all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And on YouTube, you guys are being extremely generous with the super chats and all of that. You guys are crazy. Appreciate you, my friend. It is crazy. Like just a few short weeks ago, we hadn't touched Twitch in almost, maybe not even almost, like I think a year we hadn't touched it. And now we're rocking and rolling. So thank you guys. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. I wish I could afford a lawyer when I was swatted. Oh, you were sad boy. Okay. But yeah, I mean, it's something I would like not to have to do. I mean, of course, if I could avoid spending money with a lawyer, I would like to avoid spending money on the lawyer. But it's one of those things where I'm like, I think we have to do it. Have to do it. It's not fun. There's, name anything, and I would rather spend money doing that. But, it is what it is. Oh, Proto, I can mention the Pokey Cookies thing because I haven't really seen it. I've seen people talk about it. I haven't seen the clip though. But let me pull up this or look at this tweet from Hoberman real quick. Okay, I have it pulled up. We'll touch on that here in just a second. Okay. So Max Hoberman, the ignorance here is infuriating. Ooh, shout out. Muttley Griffin, thank you for subbing over on Twitch. Appreciate you, my friend. Subbing with Prime, you gotta love Prime. Oh, and we're close to a hype train too. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. Much love. Much love. Thank you. Let's see. Max Hoberman, he said, the ignorance here is infuriating. I see mention of the skill-based matchmaking component I designed for Halo 2 and 3 on this site every so often. It's usually mentioned reverently, but then an outlier jumps in and claims it can't work today. I disagree. What I implemented cleanly divided the space into ranked and unranked matches playlists. Ranked filtered opponents based on level. This was for when you wanted a competitive match, but even then I intentionally allowed variability in the range of levels we matched you with. This variability was a topic of hot debate internally during development 20 years ago. Obviously, no one wants to get stomped continuously. On the flip side, it gets dull for most people continuously stomping on others. However, it is fun to have the upper hand some of the time. But by intentionally allowing the range of skills to match together, we provided 3 experiences in ranked matchmaking. An easier one where you can kick butt, a harder one where you're likely outmatched, and an evenly matched one. My theory was that a good mix of these was ideal. Why not always evenly match people though? My reasoning was that these are actually the most stressful matches of the set. Sure, they're the most fun to watch for spectators. Games come down to the wire. That's because the team that wins is the team that outperforms expectations. The failure of modern skill-based matchmaking, in my humble opinion, is that it's designed to maximize these perfect match scenarios and minimize the others. When it's working, the majority or a majority of games become super tight, super stressful. That's not fun for most players. Where's the variability? The system that I designed for ranked playlists ensured a healthy mix. Sure, it sucks watching your favorite team get their butt kicked, but it comes full circle when they're the ones kicking butt. Throw in tight, evenly matched games every so often, and that's a ton of fun. I haven't even gotten to the unranked playlists yet. I designed these not to factor in skill or level in the search for opponents. Yes, our engineers utilized the same code base and kept skill level as a search criteria, but we substantially deprioritized it in the matchmaking. We also didn't track skill level globally, only per playlist. The net result was that unranked matchmaking allowed a very wide range of skill levels to match together for what everyone agreed was casual, inconsequential fun. Again, that's the way it should be, in my opinion. Since the natural level or skill level distribution of players follows a bell curve, there are outliers, inherent low skill and high skill players. Characterizing the high skill ones as sweaty teens hopped up on Monster Energy is really disrespectful. Segregating high skill players from the population at large, forcing long wait times on them, is a form of discrimination. Designers should strive to find a way that players of all skill levels can have fun together. Casual, inconsequential, unranked matchmaking is one way. I dabbled with handicap settings and asymmetric game mode design as others. Game devs shouldn't take the easy way out and default to segregation, though. There's far more that can be done. Derogatory views like this among game devs is a cop-out and a disservice to players. Specifically, he's referring to this Games Radar opinion piece that we looked at, where they were just saying, for tryhards and for like pros and really skilled players to complain about SBMM, it's like cry me a river. I generally take the stance that, again, if you're sitting with a 3 or 4 KD and you're asking to be put into lobbies with noobs and novices, I'm like, okay, like I don't, you're good at the game, like congratulations. So I don't find that to be super disrespectful. I'm like, yeah, you're more talented than me. Shut up. But I get what he's saying. And to me, I mean, I think his methodology is precise. Like, I think it's exactly right. Just because on paper and in the stats, you might think, okay, well, evenly matched games makes it the most fair. So every game comes down to the wire. That'll make it more fun to watch and to like participate in with regard to like streams and stuff. So we'll do that. Just keep every match super tight. But that isn't necessarily what's fun. The variability is where the fun comes in. And so I can understand that. Yeah, using the word discrimination as if we were talking about someone firing a person for being in a wheelchair is laughable. I will say, like, this on a technical level, yeah, word for word, it is discriminatory to treat this group of players differently because they happen to be better at the game. I think that's maybe a little dramatic, because the word discrimination brings with it a lot of baggage, let's just say. But I get what he's trying to say, you know. But that's why, again, like, I think the way you get around this, ranked with SBMM, unranked is a free for all. Like, just easy peasy. Easy peasy. Maybe you even can go in and you have easy lobbies. Like, I don't know if Fortnite has this, but maybe you have like a kids lobby where it's like if your KD is below a 1, you're the only people allowed in that lobby. Maybe like do something like that, you know? If you have enough players, why not? Why not? Thomas, have you seen the Todd Howard breaks down his video game career on Wired? Cool YouTube video. I actually have it pulled up, my friend. I actually have it pulled up. We'll get to it. See, look, I have it pulled up. No joke. So we'll get there. We'll get there. Should you get Phantom Liberty? You should always get Phantom Liberty. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. For sure. Thomas, thank you for the super chat. Have you seen... Oh, I just read that one. I swear to God. I'm a professional streamer. Can you tell? Thank you for that. And, ooh, baby. Mudley Griffin, like I said, thank you for the sub with Prime. Yokes gave out a community sub. Ooh, baby. Thank you, my friend. Shout out to Yokes. Yokes is an OG. Tell you what. And Bus Driver Bob also subbed with Prime over on Twitch. Thank you, my friends. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Much love. Does the stream keep pausing? I don't have any dropped frames. It might be worth a refresh to see if that fixes it. I'm not sure. I haven't seen anybody else mention it. How's Hogwarts on Switch? I mean, it's probably exactly what you were expecting. I mean, it's like, it's exactly what you were expecting. Like it's a game that is very ambitious, running on a toaster oven, and it's okay. Like you can technically play it, but it's not where you should play the game if you have an option to play it literally anywhere else. But I mean, that's true for most Switch ports at this point. Okay, let's see this Pokimane situation. I have not kept up with it, but like somebody in chat said, as a streamer, it is my duty to, I guess, offer my thoughts on random crap that nobody cares about. So let's look at what some multimillionaire's cookie brand has done to piss off people.
I've kept a naughty little secret from all of you for the last 3 weeks, and I feel it's time to just blow the lid off of this and let the cat out of the bag. I've been playing basketball on Sunday mornings as well, so that means 2 days a week I'm out there becoming the elite hooping machine I was born to be. You might just see me walk on in the Alright, I just hit a full-blown Porky Pig right there. What I was trying to say is I might walk on in the NBA. Totally irrelevant to what we're talking about today, but you should know that I'm out there grinding 2 days a week, pick up basketball. I'm gonna be an absolute monster. What's your excuse? Get out there, Buster. Enough lollygagging. We're here to talk about the huge Pokimane drama that everyone...
I wonder, so again, I've mentioned this before, like, Charlie is a pro. He knows what he's doing. There's a reason why everything he uploads does millions and millions of plays. And he's done this in a handful of videos we've seen where he will have some little bit or something he does that fills up about 30 seconds of the video, and then he'll get into it with like a couple of words that might be triggering. So like, what were the words he said right as he hit 30 seconds?
An absolute monster. What's your excuse? Get out there, Buster. Enough lollygagging. We're here to talk about the huge Pokimane drama that...
Pokimane drama. So I wonder if drama is one of those words that YouTube sees. If it sees it in the first 30 seconds, it like flags it and throws a fit about it. Because what did this have to do with it? I don't know. But he does this a lot where he'll talk about some drama, and the first 30 seconds he spends describing something else or doing a little bit like that. And it's not an accident. I would bet you it's not an accident.
Everyone is discussing right now. So for those of you that haven't been following, and I imagine a lot of you maybe haven't, though I think there's an equally likely chance that you have... My brain is scrambled. What happened? I left my frontal lobe out on the court today. All right, post-lobotomy Charlie, gonna try and lock it in here. Pokimane started a snack company called Mina. It's focused on selling healthy cookies right now with her Midnight Minis. And immediately it fell into controversy because the price point is very high for some cookies. $28 for 4 packs of cookies, which comes out to about $7 per bag. There's also a...
Ooh, what is this, Whole Foods? Jesus Christ, $7 for like a little bag of snack cookies? Man.
A lot more moving parts to this drama because a lot of people started to recognize the similarities between Mina's Midnight Minis and Totsu's Midnight Cookies as well. The ingredients on both of these are pretty much the same, except Mina has some added vitamin D. It's extraordinarily similar. Even just giving it the old eyeball test, it looks like the same product. So a lot of people were saying this is a white labeled thing, which is pretty normal in the influencer space, but she's selling her cookies for much more than the Totsu Midnight Cookies. So I'm not here to just really dive into the nitty gritty on the cookie drama itself. There is so much information on it. She's also come out to try and explain that her Midnight Minis are a refined version of those Totsu Midnight Cookies. Like hers are like improved, which is why they're more expensive and this and that. That's not really what I'm here to dive into and get into the weeds of. She recently went on stream today and
I mean, I have to ask, and I'm always so curious about this. Are people like actually going and buying them for the sake that like, oh, well, I wasn't going to buy these cookies, but Pokimane is buying, like, who's doing that? I maybe it's just because like in my bubble, I don't know anybody like that who is that influenced by an influencer, but like, I would not expect you guys if I announced Luke ... Sims ... Yeah, all the tier 3 subs. Yeah, I guess that's fair. I like, it's just always so amazing to me that some of these streamers will announce like, here's a brand new line of candles that smells like my armpit, and they sell out instantaneously. And I guess you're right. It probably is just neckbeard simps that are all tier 3 subs and like Pokimane is their life. They're the same people that got upset when they found out that she secretly had a boyfriend, which I'm just going to say it. That whole thing, I thought that was so telling, where like she had kept her relationship private for like months or even years. And when it came out that she was in a long-term committed relationship, her audience freaked out. And I was like, so you kept it a secret intentionally. But then you also claim that you're not like leaning into the simps that think that because they're a tier 3 sub, they're going to one day be your boyfriend. Like, come on. You knew what you were doing. You knew what you were doing. Like, come on. Come on. Come on. When is the Luke Stevens skeptic cake dropping? That would actually be really funny. That would actually be unironically really funny. I'll make some calls.
I think did the worst possible maneuver you could ever do when trying to sell something to your audience.
When people are like, oh my god, $28 for cookies? It's 4 bags. That's $7 a bag. I know math is hard.
Oh, I can't stand the like talking down. Oh, you got confused because it was $28. Oh, stupid, poopy brain. Like, I cannot stand it. It's like one of my biggest pet peeves. In addition, like you guys are going to start doing this in chat now, which I will find funny. Like if you start doing the clapping emojis, one of my biggest pet peeves is when people do like they bookend their sentences with claps. So they'll go like, they're $28 per bag. I cannot stand that. Like if I see that, my brain shuts down and I want to walk away. Like if I'm dealing with somebody that does that, or if we're having a conversation and somebody does that, I can't. That's one of my biggest pet peeves. In addition to this kind of like talking down, like you know what she's doing. Like, you know what she's doing. People are saying, yeah, it's $28 for cookies, 7 per bag. 7 per bag is bad. That's what people are saying. Like, it's a straw man what she's doing right here. It drives me crazy. But yeah, it gets worse. Just wait.
4 bags. That's $7 a bag. I know math is hard when you're an idiot, but like if you're a broke boy, just say so. Anyways.
Matt was actually the one that sent me this clip today, and
if you're a broke boy, just say so. There's something just really distasteful about, again, a multimillionaire talking down to their audience for saying, hey, this, at the very least, doesn't seem like a great dollar value. Yeah, you don't understand, Luke. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. It's just, like, I do well for myself because of you guys. You guys empower me to live my dream and spend money on Lego sets and things. So I'm living my best life and never think I take that for granted. But my policy is always that, like, if we do a merch run, if you want to get something, awesome. I try to price our stuff as low as we can, like on our merch items, because I'm bougie. I chose to go with like the nicer fabrics and stuff because I didn't want just a cheap, $2 shirt that we print something on that peels off in like a single wash. So like our margins are always super, super small. If we make any money, it's like maybe a 5 or 10% markup. And then as for like all the other stuff that we do with like subs and primes and donos and stuff, I'm always so humbled by it because, again, we just do this for fun. We do this for fun. The live channel very, very recently turned a profit for the first time. Besides when Hogwarts Legacy launched, because we had a couple streams that did like 2,000 viewers concurrent, which were crazy. But like the live channel has not been a moneymaker since it started until like this month. And so I always just come here to have fun and to have a good time. I don't expect any money to come in. But you see some of these streamers where they're just like, you're not going to buy my $7 bag of cookies? Okay, well, you're broke. Cringe. Dab on the haters, swag. Like, it's crazy. Hey guys, he says we're profitable. Yeah. It basically just means now, like, the money I have to spend for like Jacob to cut all of the stream clips and for all of our subscriptions to like restream.io, our subscriptions to like Premiere Pro and all of those apps and stuff that we use for the operation of the channel. All of that stuff now is off balanced by mostly the ad revenue from those stream clips, which is a very good problem. I mean, it's a very good thing to have. I mean, I wasn't expecting to make any money from it for a long time, but I'm glad that we're finally doing it. We'll see if it stays, but yeah. She just walked back what she said on Twitter. It's still pretentious BS. Yeah, she was like, I thought it was clearly meant to be a joke. Yeah, it's meant to be a joke, but this whole thing with like talking down to people and then calling people an idiot for saying like that the $28 price tag for 4 bags is too much. Like, she called those people an idiot. That's not like a joke. You just called them an idiot.
That's $7 a bag. I know math is hard when you're an idiot, but
buying time, trying to figure out what to say next.
like if you're a broke boy, just say so. Anyways.
Matt was actually the one that sent me this clip today, and I just assumed this had to be some kind of bad joke she tried to tell. But watching the clip, it seems like she's legitimately upset and actually just calling people that don't want to pay for it or can't afford it broke. That's an elite gamer move that I had to take a step back to process, that she would just say that publicly. I was so dumbfounded upon hearing that I actually went back to her stream VOD where this happened to try and locate this moment to see what happened next, because this is only 20 seconds. I thought there was a chance that right after it, she's like, no, just kidding, I'm pulling your leg, hardy har har, just a joke. She doesn't do that.
Like if you're a broke boy, just say so. Anyways, moving on.
I also don't trust people who chew with their mouth open. It's like a llama.
If you want to pay $8 for Twitter Blue for some pixels, that's okay. That's fine. You spend your money how you want. I'll spend mine how I want. And everyone else will spend theirs how they want. That's the beauty of having.
Like, thousands of people are watching you. Close your damn mouth. Who raised you? Like, it drives me crazy, man. I understand. Okay, people are like, Luke, you gotta chill. Luke, you gotta chill. You have a lot of pet peeves, Luke. Chill out. I get it. I understand it. Clapping to bookend sentences. Guys with really long fingernails they haven't trimmed in a long time. It like actually makes me dry heave just thinking about it. Like specifically dudes with long, gross ass fingernails. Ugh. Like, oh, I can't. Like, I have lots of pet peeves and I will grant you that. But I cannot be the only person that finds this just so insufferable. It's like you gave a dog one of those like little Kong balls filled with peanut butter. It's the same sound. Luke, you slurped your chai on stream.
She is.
That seems to be where the topic died, at least from what I've skimmed through here. So it doesn't really seem like she was doing this as some kind of, like, side-splitting comedy bit about, like, broke boy, haha, you know, just kidding, I actually love my fans. She does giggle about it afterwards, but it feels more, like, condescending. And then she just says, moving on. Like, it's just a really shitty thing to say. And then she does what a lot of other people do, which I find really weird, which is mentioning Twitter Blue for some reason. Like, Twitter Blue offers this dog shit service for $8, you spend your money on some pixels, whatever. You spend your money how you want, and I'll spend my money how I want. Well, yeah, nobody's forced to purchase your product or anything, but they were having a legitimate discussion on the price just being a little out of their comfort zone for what they'd want to spend on it. Like, it's a discussion her own community was having, and then she just, out of nowhere, out of left field, is like, if you're broke, just say so. It's like, what the fuck? I have no doubt.
I also just like, so many of these difficulties streamers get themselves in is just because they wanted to talk about stuff they just shouldn't have said anything about. Like, so often with this stuff, if people just shut their mouths, there would be no drama. Like, if she didn't like say anything, if she didn't try to like tease people who couldn't afford her cookies, they would have been cookies she announced and everybody would have forgotten it except for the simps that went and bought them. Like, that would have been it. But instead now she's caught up in a controversy because she was talking down to her audience, blah, blah, blah. It's like, just often everybody just needs to shut up. That's all you need. That's what we need. After this, she'll not sell a lot off cookies. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. That's where I'm not sure what the turnaround is for this type of thing. Who knows? Maybe she makes millions off of it. Maybe it's just like a few $1,000s. I have no idea. Luke, buy cookies and eat them on stream, chewing with your mouth open. Your wish is my command. I mean, I can do that. Did you read her tweet? Yeah, we can pull it up here in just a second. Yeah, she says she thought it was obviously a joke. Again, she calls people word for word an idiot. Like, she's like, okay, it's an idiot. Like, what are we doing?
Doubt her manager and her whole team saw this clip and just together took off their hats, stood up, hands on their hips, and they're like, you know what? It was a good try. Hey, we gave it our best whirl. Like, they had to have seen this, and then immediately, like, the office went up in flames. I don't know what would possess her to say something so rude and nasty to the audience she is trying to sell this product to. To directly shame the consumer that you want to buy into your product is a galaxy brain tactic. A strategy that I'm not sure the success rate of. Like, $28, no matter how you spend this, is a lot for some fucking cookies. And I think the way she keeps trying to break it down and rationalize it is pretty disingenuous. It's $7 a bag, and that's still expensive, but then you also have to factor in that the bags aren't even big to begin with. It's 4 ounces per bag. 4 ounces of cookies for $7 is still a lot, especially when you compare it to the product that they're basing it off of and supposedly approved upon, the Tootsie Midnight Cookies. Those were $10 a bag for 14 ounces. So even though the Tootsie Midnight Cookies were $3 more per bag, they offered you 10 ounces more of product. And
I freaking love. This is where 2023 has taken us. We're measuring like the volume of cookies included in a bag to get like to be able to shit on a streamer for being out of touch. Like what a wonderful first world problem for us to have. Like I agree, this whole thing is super stupid. I think we all can agree on that. Also shout out to Jam Travolta, which love the name, for subbing over on Twitch. Like this is a hilariously stupid thing for us to be starting drama with, but the reason it's funny is because again there's something deep within most of us that just finds it really satisfying to see out of touch, very wealthy people, like famous people, get a little bit of a comeuppance. There's just something in us that finds that really satisfying, and I think that's why it's just pure entertainment. Like, does any of this really matter? No. Like, should there be more like important things we're talking about? Yeah. But this is just fun because we get to laugh at a streamer who is so out of touch. Like, you know, there was the other thing. Who was it? There was like an actress recently that they asked how much she thought like a box of breakfast cereal was. And she thought it was like $30 or $35 or something for a box of cereal. And it was like, yeah, I guess when you have not done your own shopping for years and years and years, and you have like your personal assistants do everything for you, you never see the bills, you have so much money, it doesn't really matter to you what money is spent on food. Like, yeah, I can see why you'd be totally out of touch. And they've done this with like politicians here in the States as well, where they'll go up to like, I think it was George Bush Sr. I think George H.W. Bush. I think it was him. And they asked him how much he thought a gallon of milk cost. And this was back in like the 90s. So I think it was like, you know, $1.15 or something. It was very, very cheap. Maybe even less than that. But it was very, very cheap. And he comes in, he's like, $20? Because, you know, he's worth like $200 million and hasn't done his own shopping in 30 years. So he has no idea. And like, does that really matter? Probably not. Does that mean that person would be bad at their job? Probably not. Does that mean that person is incapable of being like entertaining or having value in some career? No, it's just really funny that somebody can be that out of touch and that separated from the reality that we know, you know? Was it Bill Gates? Oh, maybe it was Bill Gates. I just see like generic old white man in my head and I'm like, could be any of them. You know. Have you gotten the personal assistant to buy groceries and Lego sets for you yet? No, we're working on it. Yeah, my Lego assistant. Yeah. It's on my to-do list. Oh, man. Yeah, it's on my to-do list. Don't worry. We'll get there.
And they were sold in Costco. A lot of people really enjoyed them, but most people didn't like the price. That was a pain point of that. $10 for a bag of cookies is a lot. So $7 for a smaller bag of cookies, significantly smaller, is a lot too. Like,
dude, I was at the airport and I bought a thing of chewy nerds. Like, you know, the things that have a little ball of like the red goo, whatever. Sounds gross, but then it's like dipped in nerds. It's like the little nerd clusters. I got those. And then like, I just got them, I scanned them and I went to pay for them and they were like freaking $4.85 or something for the bag. I was like, what the hell are we doing? What are we doing? It was insane. Like 45. I mentally, I had prepared myself for like $2 and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be on a flight. This will be worth it. But, you know, it is what it is, but man, those airport snacks will get you.
It doesn't matter how you boil down this math. All roads lead to this being an expensive product. That's the brass tacks of it. That is the hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, and embrace it. Embrace it. That's what I don't get. Like, why are you pretending like it's not that expensive? Which is what she's doing, where she's like, it's 28 for 4. Stupid. Like, embrace it. Be like, yeah, it's a premium product. We had the option of going really, really cheap or going with a more premium product that we're more proud of. And that's what I decided to do. So I embraced it and I went for more premium. Embrace it. I think people would respect her a lot more if she just did that. But instead she calls people idiots for calling her out on it.
There's really no way of spinning this where $28 for a 4-pack of these cookies isn't expensive. It is. And to try and call people broke for not buying it or not being able to afford it is really some out-of-touch shit. And the really foul part about all of this that my little noodle will never be able to wrap itself around is a streamer calling their audience broke or poor. Bub, your wealth was built on their backs. Them watching you supplied you with money through the ads that get played to them. Them directly donating to you took their money and gave it to you. If they weren't watching you, you would be getting no sponsors, which make up a lot of streamers' income. You need them, and you are dropping trouser and shitting in their mouth right now by just insulting them over them having legitimate criticisms over the price point of the product. It makes no sense. Your wealth was accumulated because of these people you're now calling broke and poor. It is incomprehensible to me. You were made from these people that you are now shaming. It's so weird and so fucked up. Now, again, $28 for a 4-pack of cookies is a hard bargain. This is already priced out a normal consumer. This is purely for your fans that want to support you. So they are the only ones that will likely be buying this. $28 is not going to be like mass adopted by just normal snack shoppers and enthusiasts that want a good healthy snack, I don't think. It is a lot, even compared to other healthy alternatives. Because I do get healthy snacks. I know what a lot of these prices are. This is still an expensive product. I wouldn't be paying $28 for a 4-pack of cookies unless that came with 5 strippers and legitimately every vitamin and nutrient my body could ever need, and then guarantee that I'd get 3 inches taller by the time I finish the 4 bags. Now, that's not saying that the quality of the cookies is bad or something. Like, they look good. They might be extraordinary. I probably would enjoy them. They're probably pretty tasty. But they are an expensive product that I probably wouldn't pay for. This is definitely something that is 100% geared and marketed towards her audience of fans that want to support her.
Yeah. Well, and like to have a brand that crosses into the mainstream, that's the goal for all influencers. Like, I think Prime has managed to actually do that, unfortunately. The super sweet kind of crappy energy drink from Logan, Paul, and KSI. Is it Logan or Jake? No joke, I can't tell them apart. I don't know which is which. But one of the Paul bros and KSI, they've done like $1.2 billion this year. It's very successful. And that is not just from their audience. You know, that is also from them sponsoring a lot of these sports events. It's spilling over into other markets as well. That is the goal of every influencer brand deal or product launch, whatever. I don't think that these Milo, whatever cookies are going to do that. Like, they're so expensive, they wouldn't be competitive on the store shelves at like Target. So instead, it's like, where are they going to be sold? Yeah, they're going to be sold directly to her fans that are trying to simp for her. And like, so be it. She'll get her bag from it. Their markup is probably pretty significant, so she's going to make some money off of it. But it is funny where it's like they aren't picking one or the other. You have to pick, is this supposed to be a mass marketed product where it's priced fairly for what you're getting? Or is it one of these influencer cash-in types of deals where it's being priced at a point where, you know, you can come in and make big bank off of your fans. Instead, she's trying to like do both and it just doesn't work.
And now she is publicly shaming a big chunk of them, I imagine, who don't want to spend $28 on some cookies. Like, it's a very fair thing for people to talk about. Like, hey, Pokimane, this is kind of a lot for the cookies. And for her to go on stream and boil it down to people being idiots who can't do math or a broke boy is just, it's so mean and just bad. Like, not only just from like a personality perspective to say some shit like that and shame people that support you, but it's also just bad from a business perspective because this is all sold off of your reputation and people wanting to support you, and now you've done a huge disservice to that here. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. And it's something that 3 years ago she criticized another streamer for. Like, it seems like she recognizes that insulting your audience for their financial situation is a horrible thing to do. Because 3 years ago she made these tweets in response to someone who was like shaming their audience over like not donating $5 or subbing for $5. I saw people passing around these tweet links, and like, she clearly was able to recognize then, like, hey, a lot of people that watch you might not be in the best financial situation, but that doesn't mean you need to be, you know, nasty to them about it or make them feel bad about it or try and shame them or insult them. And then 3 years later, she just did. I don't know how this is going to play out for the future of her new snack company. It's definitely not a great start, not really hitting the ground running. A bit of a stumble here, I would say. But
I would love to know what the rest of the team is saying. Pokey, shut up! Shut up! Damn it! Like, oh man, that conference call has to be so funny. It's got to be so funny, but I mean, you don't really feel that bad. I don't, at least. Like, I don't. Now, to be fair, Pokimane did issue an "I'm sorry. We're so sorry." Yeah, full like damage control mode, unfortunately for her. Yeah, there's been confusion about the product I launched. I'm here to set the record straight. Apparently just rebranded Tootsie Midnight Mini Cookie, which she sells for 3 times the price. Only difference is between the cookies is vitamin D3, 28 versus $9.99. Well, it's 28 for pack of 4. Yeah, and that's what Charlie went through. And then she says, while what I said was 100% intended to be a joke, I see why it came off as insensitive, and I apologize for that. I also understand the current price of cookies may be expensive for some, and promise we'll continue to consider pricing to keep Mina as affordable as possible. Okay. Okay. I mean, whatever. Just like, I feel like so often with Pokemon at this point, every time I see her pop up in the news again, it's because there's some little bitty thing where it seems like the mask slipped a little bit and she's revealed as somebody who's kind of just a little toxic and incredibly out of touch. And then the mask goes back on and everybody's happy-go-lucky and hunky-dory, and then it goes back and drops a little. You know, it's just if you watch the full clip, it 100% wasn't a joke. Yeah, I mean, she straight up calls people idiots. Like, it's not got you. Okay, just kidding. It's like, no, she just moves on. It, yeah. I buy if they're THC in them. Well, it like straight up, the price of those cookies is like the same price as if there were edibles. I think that's what edible cookies are priced at here in Colorado. So, yeah. Certainly came off as not a joke. Most people, it's also really weird to make a negative joke about a fan base that gave you your career. Yeah, and like I think for everybody, like there's moments where you can slip and like you might say something. Everybody says stuff that they don't mean like, from time to time, or they just don't think it through before saying it. And so like, of course I want to give a little bit of leeway to that, because everybody makes little mistakes, you know, like everybody does. But at the same time, like when you double down on it and then you like half apologize for it, it's like the audience has the right to feel disrespected and mistreated, and she has the right to insist that she's not meaning it that way, and the audience can make up their own mind. I was never going to buy any of those cookies anyways, and after all of this I certainly am not buying any cookies, so like for me there's nothing that changes, but whatever. Like I always say, if I hear someone in person saying bad things like calling people broke boys unironically, I'm slapping them. Yeah, it's just like if you put that into a situation where you're, like you said, out with friends and not a joke, yeah. And one of your friends was calling one of your other friends a brokey for being like, I can't afford another drink. You'd be like, what the, like, what? Stop it. Like, what was that? Like immediately, like we'd all would respond really, really poorly to that, and I think rightly so. But some people are saying like, oh, well, it was probably a troll or maybe a known troll that said something in her chat that she was responding to, and yeah, sure. Like we've had people that are clearly trolls in this chat that come in and are like clearly trying to egg you on and get a reaction out of you, and so we've seen that before. And usually, how we deal with it is we'll just mute them so they can still post stuff, but they don't realize that nobody can see it. So then they just end up wasting their own time, and that's usually pretty funny. But like I would say she's been doing this for years and years and years. She is one of the most successful streamers on any of these platforms. She should know at this point just not to indulge trolls, and she should know how to not say something stupid in reaction to a troll, which is what happened here, allegedly, you know. The only people allowed to make fun of my bank balance is me. Yeah. Freedom. Dude, for real, go grab some $2 Oreos. Yeah, man. Oh, Oreos are so good. Do you want to buy my box of special Oreos for $128? I'm scared why they're special. I don't want to know. I don't know what you did. Okay, let's shift gears. That was me shifting gears, if you couldn't tell. I know it looked like shifting gears, and you're like, wow, Luke, are you in a car? Because it was that good, but I'm telling you, I'm here at my desk. I wasn't actually shifting gears. Also, real quick, Louis Montorio, thank you for subbing with Prime, my friend. Appreciate you dearly. Let's talk about one of the other candidates for worst game of the year. I don't know what it is. It's like every time, everything's in balance. It's all yin yang stuff, okay? Like if there's an amazing game like Baldur's Gate 3, there has to be a god-awful game like Gollum to balance it out. Oh, we also got Tears of the Kingdom. Oh, well, boom, here's Kong. And then at the end of the year, ooh, we've got Alan Wake 2. Boom, we've got The Walking Dead Destinies, which is apparently from the same publishing house as Kong, which is really funny that they're 2 for 2 this year on horrible conversions. So let's look at this. These are actual cutscenes from the game, okay? Actual cutscenes. We're gonna look at this and we're gonna look at like some actual gameplay. That's some Redfall level stuff.
That's it. We either take care of this right now, or we just gotta go. Now hold on, Shane. You can't tell me you're okay with this. Get your weapons, y'all. Time to grow up.
Y'all.
Shane, that's enough. You damn right that's enough. Enough risking our lives for a little girl who's gone. Enough living next to a barn full of things that are trying to kill us. Enough! Rick, it ain't like it was before!
Oh, man.
It's not our call. We're guests here. The hell with that, man!
So, this is something dev studios do when they don't have time to actually, like, mocap cutscenes and stuff, is they'll just do these little, like, standing still frame things. It's the same thing that actually Redfall did, where they had steady state cutscenes like this, where it's just a camera against, like, a vignette, basically. And so whenever you see this kind of cutscene, it's a red flag for sure, because it usually shows that they did not have time or money to properly tell the story they wanted to tell. Now, what kind of game is this? Well, it's apparently basically like Dead by Daylight, isn't it? Oh, look at this magic. Oh. Oh, God.
Get out of here!
Yeah, that's that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Did the trailer look better? Or did it always look like this?
Dear Dad, it's hard to remember who we were before all of this. Who you were.
You guys know how I feel about Fades to
Seems
Black.
like a different life. One before Mom died.
You have to help us. What do we do?
Oh man. Hold on. What was this scene? He's stealthing while like zombies are actively looking at him from various vantage points, but this is somehow stealth. Already, this doesn't make any sense at all. He's crouching, so he's invisible. Dude, I would die if they had like the copy and pasted animations from Kong. Like, you imagine he goes up to like one of the zombies and instead of a melee attack with a bar, he just does the like Kong clap, which was ripped off of like a Hulk model or something. Oh man. Now I kind of want to play it to see.
You taught me that growing up is about keeping the people you love safe. A chance for everything to change and for everyone to have a real life. the things you've had to do. I want you to know that it all means something. That there's hope. Never forget who you are.
I think what they did is they went on like Motion Array or one of those sites and they bought like a template for glitched cinematic title screen or something. And then they just used that for all of these, because all of these little like flickering title cards are just the exact same thing, copy and pasted with different text over top and then maybe a slightly different background. But it all just looks copy and pasted across the board. Also, like, what resolution did they capture this in? Because there's like a couple of sections with like the barbed wire.
Never forget.
Like, I don't know what frame rate this is as well. It's super stuttery. Like, again, what resolution is this? You can't even tell like the planks of wood apart. It's so low res. Here, it's like straight up. This is not stream compression. It's so low resolution that it's not even rendering the wire properly. Because the anti-aliasing is either turned off or it's so broken that it just looks like, well, this. It's just stunning. What is this launching on? PS5, Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. If they captured this on the Switch, that would make sense. But if it's not on the Switch, this is horrifying.
You're a good leader. You're a good man. You're Shane Walsh. My dad. I love you, Carl.
Oh my god, I'm gonna have a stroke. Game Mill Entertainment. Yeah, same guys as Kong. Digital available now. Physical launches December 1st. Dude, imagine buying this. There's gonna be somebody that gets this for Christmas. Somebody's grandma's gonna be like, oh, I know you like The Walking Dead, sweetie. And they're gonna buy this at Best Buy for $60 and get totally screwed over. Man, I've never seen a game release then do so poorly they decide to delay the PC port over delaying the console port. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just shocking. Like, on the one hand, these are these guys over at Flux Games. I'm sure they're trying their best, but this Game Mill Entertainment, they like gave them 6 months to put this together, and so they're just kind of fighting an uphill battle. And the thing I've learned with a lot of these like recent things, speaking to developers for games or touring studios or whatever, is that at all of these studios, there's many very passionate people. Okay, like people that love making games and just want to make more and better games. But the issue of budget comes in, the timelines come into effect, and so sometimes they're just kind of forced to make whatever they can manage. And yeah, the product sometimes is not very good. So like, I don't like teasing the developers for stuff like this. And the devs, you know, they're dealing with the best of a bad situation. But I mean, this is bad. This is really bad. I mean, maybe when you're playing it, it works better. I guess let's look up some actual gameplay. Oh, Hollow did some. Let's see. So this is Hollow. Big YouTuber.
Want to heal?
Full screen. There we go. This is the game.
I feel like he... When your heart's pumping. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't read.
I mean, it looks like an actual video game. I'll give him that. I was just clipping through bushes. Like, honestly, oh, the body's stuck. This at least looks like a video game. I mean, like Kong barely looked like a video game. Gollum was just super broken and busted in so many ways. This at least looks like a video game with multiple parts and, you know, levels and stuff. Which I know is not saying a whole lot, but stealth sections. Man. What a disgrace to the IP as well. You know, like the AMC has millions and millions and millions of dollars. Why couldn't they send this to a team more capable? Like it's because it's just meant to be a quick cash grab and that's it. I mean, honestly, this looks like an actual video game, a bad one, a very bad one, but at least it looks like there's a game. Whereas like that Last of Us ripoff on the Switch, there weren't enough bullets in the game to finish the game. So like you could never finish the game because the devs didn't put enough ammunition in. Because like they require you to kill the zombies, so you can't actually ever do it. Oh man, that camera's so broken. That throw mechanic's so bad. Oh my god. Yeah, it's clearly horrible, but I would say this looks better than Kong and Gollum. Shockingly enough. It's not saying much. I didn't switch the camera. I'm a professional streamer. I'm a professional streamer, guys. Don't worry. I was saying this is broken as shit. Look at this. He tries to like throw the grenades, but they keep glitching out. Man. Yeah, I think this is probably better than... I don't know if it's better than Gollum. I think it's better than Kong. Kong was just like, it's not even really a video game. But man, what a year. Lots of contenders. Game Mill really pumping them out. Really pumping out those winners.
James Norman donated £5 through Super Chat. Started
James.
new HL save. Gear fried Gryffindor. Green eyes and red hair just like Godric. I also made Sophia Slytherin and Harley Hufflepuff. Ravenclaw TBD.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. Have fun. It's a really good holiday game. I think it's going to be one that I continue to replay through Christmas. It just makes me feel good, you know. Do you remember the canceled Walking Dead game from Overkill, the studio behind Payday? Seemed like a neat idea. I vaguely remember that. I just think a lot of these these big publishers, they just have different ways of looking at some of these games where they look at them like almost like they did back in the mid 2000s or the 90s, where it's just, no, you contact a cheap publisher, they'll throw together a video game, you put it on store shelves, and then parents will buy it for their kids at Christmas if they like the movie. And like, that's it. So if you liked it, AMC's, you know, Walking Dead, okay, buy the game for Christmas, easy peasy. The game's terrible, but whatever, you know, who cares? But nowadays, I mean, you can't do that. People expect a little bit more. I'll tell you what. Sure do. They sure do. Okay, I feel like we should do this. We should touch on this. We haven't talked about it yet, and I feel like we should. So, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, you guys have heard about it. You've thought about it. It's been in your hearts, your dreams. It's dead. It's gone. It's left the building. It is gone forever. So real quick, I'll put the video in chat so you guys can go send Mr. Matty Plays some love. I've mentioned Matty plenty of times before. He's a friend of the channel, makes some amazing stuff. Matty straight up has one of the best work ethics of any creator I know. The dude is a machine. Can't recommend him enough. You know, we have our disagreements on stuff. He tends to be very like forgiving to a lot of Bethesda stuff, for example, and a lot of the time he can kind of be a glass is half full type of person, whereas I'm like, I don't care if it's half full or half empty, it's just half of a glass, like whatever, you know. So he offers a very different perspective than I do, but that's one of the reasons I like him, because he makes me think differently as well. And in this video, he goes, or I'm assuming is going to go through kind of what's going on with it. But basically, Maddie's a hardcore fan of Knights of the Old Republic. And when they announced a remake, you know, he was very, very giddy, very, very excited, as were many, many other people as well. But then to hear that it's been canned and is on ice at the very least, he's probably not doing too hot. So we're going to see what he says, but I'm expecting a very animated opening. I'm expecting to see that. So let's see. I'm not sure, ABCD, like what you're referring to specifically. I see a highlighted thing about a DSX app from Steam. I've never used it. I'd say if you can get the DualSense working, you absolutely should, because it's awesome. But I'm not familiar with that app. Yeah, I'm not sure. McDagger the First, much love, my friend. Yeah, I'm not seeing any other highlighted messages. So I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to. So I'm sorry. I'm just not seeing it. Sorry, Jacob. I'll start it from the top. Here we go. Okay. So without further ado, let's see what Mr. Maddie has to say. Here we go. Oh, it is the Dark Knight music.
Unbelievable. I'm laughing. And many of you think I'm probably losing my mind. I'm laughing because I'm thinking about the collective incompetency on display. And it's hilarious to me. Because it's easy to just point at one company, right? Just be like, man, what are you doing? But we got Disney, Sony, Embracer, Aspire, Saber. You want to throw it back even further when I was campaigning, BioWare. That's a long list. In a day and age of remakes where the blueprint is so simple. Here's the game. Let's do it again. It's right there. You're not even making a new thing. It's right there.
I mean, most of this seems to be tied up in Embracer Group, honestly. If you're not familiar with Embracer, basically they're a massive publishing house. They own tons of studios, and they were expecting to get a $2 billion paycheck from the Saudi Arabian investment fund. And that deal fell through, so they didn't get their $2 billion payday, but they had made a bunch of acquisitions and greenlit projects expecting to have $2 billion in cash that they all of a sudden weren't getting. So they canceled a ton of stuff, downsized a bunch of studios, fired a ton of people, canceled many, many projects, and it seems like this game is one of them. So I'm not familiar with the details. Hopefully Maddie goes through them, but my understanding is that most of this is because of that Saudi Arabian deal falling it through and then missing out on that $2 billion that they were expecting.
And we still find a way to absolutely blow it.
If I'm ever promised money, I wait until that money's in my bank before I go and spend it all. Yeah, it's straight up like in The Office when Michael Scott thinks that he's getting that bonus check, and so he goes and spends all the money on a fur coat from whatever, the Burlington Coat Factory. And then as he's walking out, he gets fake blood dumped on him, and so the coat's ruined, and then it turns out he doesn't actually have the money in his bank account, so he overdrafted and like all sorts of stuff. It really is Michael Scott, yeah. I think there's no excuse for it on the manager's side. I mean, they probably were told by the representatives for the investment fund, oh, the deal is like locked and loaded. We're definitely going through and yeah, this is closing. And so they were going off of that, and they started making moves to greenlight projects they thought were going to be really profitable using that money. But then the deal fell through for a handful of reasons. And part of it is because, you know, there's a bunch of other things that have tied into it. Some people think that the failure of the Saints Row reboot really made Saudi Arabia question the partnership and back out, because that was also an Embracer Group launch. So perhaps, you know, all of this is because of Saints Row, because that caused their reputation to tank so badly that they backed out of it with the Saudi Arabian government. It could have also just been that because of interest rates going up so precipitously, the Saudi Arabian government thought that investments elsewhere were just going to be more profitable, so they backed out. Who knows? Who knows? We don't know the paperwork. We don't know what the contingencies in the contracts were like. But I can't think of a situation where, at the very least, the managers were irresponsible in greenlighting so much stuff before they had the money. Like, it's ridiculous to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on acquisitions before you can actually pay for it. It's
incredible. Ridiculous. I know many people are going to stumble upon this video. These YouTubers. So reactionary for the view.
Look where we are. This is meta.
No. If you don't know what KOTOR means to me, you problem, not me. Someone down below will explain it to you, or this.
Yeah, like I said, Maddie talks about KOTOR all the time. And he has since I started watching him back in, like, I think I started watching Maddie, no joke, back in 2012 or 2013. Like, when I started watching Maddie, his stuff, let me see if I can find, like, I don't know if he still has the videos up even. Mr. Maddie plays, can I just search 2012? No, 8 years ago, 9 years ago. So like this is from 2014. I was watching Maddie before even this. This video is from 9 years ago in 2014. And I had been watching Maddie for a long time. I think I remember when this video actually came out. And it was just him reacting to, like, you know, one of these.
You got all your turns.
Dude, your camera's
one of these 12-year-olds that's like pretending like they have Fallout 4 already, and it's just straight up Fallout 3.
reversed. Like, anything you bring up is backwards.
Look what Grandpa did. I got this thing in my room, and he decided to put it in the game, and it just saved, dude. And I'm like, what's up, man?
I'm like, what's up, man?
I remember that.
He's dead serious. Yeah, they're focusing on the story, so they literally carbon copied all Fallout 3.
You guys, if you guys like this video and favorite it and subscribe to me, I'm gonna get Grandpa to tell me some more about this game. I'll post more videos.
Dude, golden age of content right here. So yeah, I've been watching Maddie forever, and ever since this, he was putting stuff out talking about Knights of the Old Republic. It's like one of the first games he fell in love with. So for him to get a remake greenlit, he was like giddy and so excited. And now, like, to hear that it's dead again is just like, man, yeah, I'm gonna ask Grandpa to get me more details about the game. It's like, man, some kid really was like, oh yeah, this'll get the views. This'll do it. This'll do it.
This video will convey it to you. But this is first recording, just firing it up. I'm getting a lot off my chest. I have so much naturally to say. We do have a sponsor for today's video. We have to roll it for this video. So apologies if it's abrupt, but it's probably the brightest spot of this video because of who it is. I'm very excited about it. So let's get into today's sponsor and then get into the rest of the news. The following video is sponsored by Atlas. Persona 5
Atlas, Maddie with the big sponsorship.
It comes out on November 17th on Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, Windows PC, PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch, and Steam. You all know how much I love Persona. You can just check the history across Mr. Maddie Plays and Retro Rebound. I adore this series. So when Atlas reached out and said, hey, you mind just showcasing a little bit of Persona 5 Tactica? Absolutely. For those who don't know, Persona 5 Tactica is a turn-based strategy game, meaning movement and positioning is key. One such example of this
I haven't actually really looked at this game,
which is called Triple Threat, where all three of your squad.
It actually does look kind of fun. It's like the Super Mario Rabbids kind of spin-off game, but with Persona art and stuff. Could be fun. Have any of you guys played it? Is it good? Is it good? I feel so bad for him because of how hype he has been for years. Yeah, he gets in these spots where, like, he will be super hyped for something, and then it just ends up kind of being like like Starfield, and now this. Yeah, I do feel bad a little. I do, yeah. Okay, let's see.
Knights of the Old Republic remake is dead. That is the report. Comes from Jeff Grubb. We're going to play the clip, and I'm just going to tee off. Just going to have a field day here, okay? I have spent every ounce of rational energy this week from the Game Awards discussion, just trying to be level-headed, be above the console war drivel. Reviewed a pretty disappointing game this week in Ultimate Storm Connections, you know, just rationalizing there. Rationalizing what's going on with Call of Duty. Just, I've spent every ounce of level-headed energy this week. Pardon me if I'm off my game for one video. Let's roll the clip, and then I'm going to chat.
Oh, I want to see unhinged Maddie. That's all I want in life.
Just want to clear it up. This game is not being worked on right now. Just full stop. This game is not being worked on in any way at any studio. I've looked into it a little bit. I mean, I don't think this is news to most of you. I think you guys can piece this together if you've been listening to this, and Sony like stepping away and scrubbing mentions of Knights of the Old Republic from social media and YouTube. You can put 2 and 2 together there, but just to 100% confirm it, this game is not being worked on right now.
Many of you are probably clicking in.
They just are not touching it. Oh baby, oops. Yeah, they really broke Maddie. Well, we're gonna see. There's something like refreshing though about a YouTuber that's just honestly really passionate about something reacting to the news of it. Like, so often it's really forced where creators are like, oh, now I'm gonna act really upset about the current state of Call of Duty, and you know, this is just so unacceptable, and they pretend to freak out and stuff. But for this, like, this is actually one of Maddie's beloved games. Like, this is something he was really, really hyped for and pumped for. And so I'm sure this is a bad day for Maddie.
And I know just how the internet works. I've done this for half my life. Why are you so surprised, Maddie? Why are you so surprised, dude? Have you not seen what's going on in Embracer? For those who aren't caught up, Embracer, they are a huge games group, own a ton of studios, Aspire being one of them, original developers of KOTOR Remake.
And I mean, the big thing for Embracer right now is they own so many IP. Like, so many IP. Like, that it's probably the most heartbreaking thing about all of it. Like, they own now, don't they own Red Faction? They own Saints Row, of course. They own Knights of the Old Republic. Like, they own so many. Well, I guess Disney probably technically still owns it, but there's so many cascading things that they own that now are just sitting on ice because they screwed up so many studios. Like, it's ridiculous.
There's a lot of problems there. I've covered them on the channel on how whatever they showed PlayStation and Disney, they did not like. People got fired over it. Project got moved over to Saber, right?
Imagine that. You have because what allegedly happened, again, it's not confirmed by them directly, but apparently they had like a prototype built of what they wanted to do. They brought it to Disney and they're like all excited to show Disney. And then they walk into the conference room, start showing executives. And then they just get fired. Like, this is so bad. You're all out of a job. Like, imagine how bad that must have been for them to just dump it. Like, it had to have been horrible. Or just like not monetizable at all, or something. Like, I don't know how bad it must have been for them to just immediately start rolling heads, but man.
I remained optimistic about this because Saber is a proven studio. More proven than Aspire, quite frankly. Aspire did great work on the remasters for Star Wars games, and I could tell they really cared about KOTOR, and I was definitely a fan of them, knowing that they were a huge fan of me, and they were watching a lot of the content I put out on KOTOR, and so they were really connected with the community and the people who really cared about it. So I was one of their biggest advocates. Saber, I would also go to bat for because I was excited about this team who just seems to just pull it out of nowhere and make these games that don't match their studio identity. Like, they did the Witcher 3 Switch port, which was like impossible, but they did it. It came out great. They did World War Z, which just came out great. And I know these all aren't RPGs, if you will. Witcher 3 is, but they didn't make that, so to say. They just did something technically impressive. But that was a team worth believing in. You know, would it have been my first pick on my list? No, Larian would have been. Larian absolutely would be my first pick, and maybe there's hope for that yet. But
I don't think so. At this point, Larian is such a huge studio. I think that they can pretty much make any demands they want. And if there's any IP they want to mess with, I think they're getting it. Maybe it's Star Wars, yeah, but I don't think they remake Knights of the Old Republic. I think they go and do something else entirely.
You know, following all of that, and you think to yourself, after what's happened with Embracer, they lost out on a $2 billion deal with Savvy Games Group. So they've been just falling through the floor level by level for weeks now. And they've shut down studios, canceled projects. People are getting laid off all over the place. It's a disaster. So with all that encapsulated, I provided every reason for you to ask the question, why did you ever have any dash of optimism about this project? Well, number one, pardon me for thinking what I think everyone else does. A remake is not as complicated of a game to make as an original new idea. The blueprint is right there. I can load up my original Xbox, fire KOTOR the fuck up, and look at it and be like, all right, we're gonna make this hallway in the terrace apartments. And it's gonna look just like, there's no concept art, mood boards, conveying visions, written, there's none of that shit. It's right there. right? So part of me, if step 1, I thought this may be an easier task, but step 2, Embracer, falling to the floor, laying off people, saving money where they can because they lost out on a massive deal. Okay, got it. But this is Star Wars we're talking about. If I'm Embracer and I'm looking at everything they're making, by the way, this is the team that has like, I'm talking like hundreds of developers, and they're working on all these little whatever mobile games. Yeah, I get why those may get the axe, but like when you're looking at Star Wars, to me, that's like a life vest, you know, keeps you afloat. If this hits, this might be a big one for us, which is why, for example, Dead Island 2 was such a huge blessing to Embracer because it was this surprise hit. And I've said time in, time out that if Dead Island 2 wasn't as good as it was and didn't perform as good as it did, that company also would have been axed, right? With KOTOR Remake, to see it passed around as long as it did, it's funny, Dead Island 2 does give me some hope because that game is awesome, that maybe KOTOR Remake will see the light of day one day under a new team and come out and actually be great.
I mean, so the first thing he says where it's like direct, the groundwork's been laid, that it's absolutely true. I mean, remakes are, technically speaking, they should be easier than a ground up creation of a game, but that's because like the design doc is done, which if you're not familiar with game development, usually game development has like a single design doc. I think the original GTA one has been released. I'm gonna pull that up. Yeah, I think it was originally called Race and Chase. But this is what a design doc looks like. So this is what game developers will do before they have the game, before everything, and they have it bullet pointed. So the goal is that you can hand this to, March 22nd, 1995. I think it was called Race and Chase originally before it was renamed Grand Theft Auto. And so you should be able to take this document, read it, and walk away knowing what the game is, right? It's all of this stuff broken down. They describe technical aspects, what they need to develop, what they need to do, all of this stuff. And this is a lot of like creative direction. So when they're working on Starfield, this is the thing that Todd Howard is spending most of his time on, is building out this. And this is a very small one. This is 12 pages. Design docs for modern games are hundreds of pages long, okay? So for this, the design document is done. The quests are pretty much done. You might have to rewrite some stuff, but it's pretty much done. The world building, location selection, all that stuff is done. Like the creative work is mostly taken care of. But there's almost no reusable assets at all in this. This is not like The Last of Us Part 1 remake where you could just copy and paste over most of the assets and nobody could tell. In this, you are rebuilding absolutely everything. The running animations can't be saved. The narrative discussion system, none of that can be saved. The dialogue system has to be scrapped and started over. Everything has to be redone. So while yes, technically it should be easier than doing it from scratch, like you're only saving the money on the creative direction side of things because most of that's already done. Like the actual work of rebuilding absolutely everything still has to be done. And all the animations redone, and like it definitely is a bigger animal than you might think. Yeah. The Race and Chase, the N in Race and Chase is doing some heavy lifting. Jesus. How long do those things take normally? The design docs, you mean? Well, the design docs are usually what's done by like the creative director and a team of a few people and game designers. And then they take that to a small team of maybe 20, 30 people, and they build out prototypes. And then they build out with those prototypes a vertical slice. And then they take that vertical slice to a publisher and pitch the game with that vertical slice. You remember that original trailer for God of War when Kratos steps out and is like, "Boy, we are going hunting. Which way? In the direction of deer." Like that whole thing, that was a vertical slice. At that point, God of War as a game basically didn't exist. They had that sequence we saw in the trailer and nothing else at all. And then over the course of 18 months to 2 years, they built out pretty much everything else. Just go watch that Raising Kratos documentary and they'll kind of break it down for you. It's really, really cool. But that's typically how game design works, is they have the design document, then they go prototype, and then they go vertical slice, and then they go from vertical slice to a full game. And in this case, you have the design doc basically done. Everything else still has to be done. And so it's not as simple as just swap out some assets, because nothing of the original game could be reused. All of the voice acting, all of the animations, everything would have to be redone.
Two reasons why I was optimistic. Now, all of this news is built off the back of what had dropped yesterday, where you'll see here IGN reports Embracer boss tight-lipped on MIA Star Wars Knights of the Republic remake. During a financial presentation, Embracer CEO Lars Wingefors remained tight-lipped when asked how he was feeling about the KOTOR remake. Quote, "I notice anything I say to this becomes a headline, so that is my only comment," end quote. Furthermore, before all of this,
shouldn't that tell him that that's worth investing in, though? Like, if he says anything about this game, it'll be everywhere, all over the internet. Then make the freaking game. Make it a priority. Like, that has got to be the wake-up call, wouldn't you think? You know? Yeah, Meowtro, think how bad your vertical slice has to be to get fired and then have your entire studio removed from the project. Yeah, because that's basically what happened is they had the design doc, they made the prototype, and then they made the vertical slice, brought that to executives, and then they were fired. Like, it must have been bad.
Trailers have been taken down. Social media presence has been removed for the KOTOR remake. So you'll see here, PlayStation actually addressed that, calling it a normal part of business. Sony is assuring concerned fans that it only scrubbed the KOTOR remake trailers from its YouTube channel because of an expired music license. As part of normal business, we delist assets with licensed music when the licenses expire. Meaning that, as I reported, this game was supposed to come out way sooner, and it has been in absolute turmoil for a while now.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like, who let the license expire and why? Like, that's part of the problem. They shouldn't have let it expire in the first place if they were actively working on it and if they were trying to make this actually a thing. Like, somebody let that expire, probably because they're like, hey, listen, this thing's not coming out anytime soon. Let the licenses expire. Don't waste the money, and let's just move on. Like, it doesn't actually quell the fears as much as you might have thought. Sony, tell you what.
I don't know who directly is to blame. I need the Jason Schreier level expose. I need to know who did what, who saw what and said, no, we're not doing that. Sorry, but we're gonna fire people at Aspire. I need to know from top to bottom what is happening here. It's a personal investment, man, but it's also like, look.
Oh man, old school Maddie. Look at that hair. Mr. Matty plays the locks. Oh, wow. Man, old school Matty. We've all done this where like our first studio was in our bedroom and then it backs up. You have the bed in the background. There's just something like very nostalgic about it for me. Cause like my first studio was just in the corner of my bedroom, and in a lot of the videos you could still see like my mattress in the corner and stuff. Or like after I moved into my first apartment, I had like the desk, and then I faced, the wall was behind me, but just on the other side of the desk was my bed. It was just like a twin bed that laid out, and it was super janky, and the room was so crammed and everything. But at one point in college, my apartment was so small that in order to have my desk with like the cameras and the light set up for making my videos, I had to literally climb onto my bed and then around the desk to get down to like actually sit in the desk chair and film videos and stuff. It was so crammed. So yeah, these old school videos and stuff of like our first studios or apartments, they always make me really nostalgic. It's always funny to me.
I'll tell you a story, okay? I've been doing this for half my life. I'm 28. I've been doing this really for more than half my life, actually, because I've been doing it since I was at least 13 across multiple YouTube channels. And KOTOR was one of the games on this channel that you'll find old videos of me back in like 2013, 2014, just talking about, yo, can you remaster this? That was during the era of HD remasters. I was just calling for like ports. And then there was talk of a KOTOR remake or something being worked on at BioWare Austin in 2016. Naturally, we know, iced. Why I'm so downtrodden, disgusted, disappointed, deteriorating, whatever other D word you want to attach to it, why I am this way is because it has been such a unexcusably long road to this, okay? And I'll play the victim for 1 second here. I get to watch the whole industry. Everyone's getting their remakes. Everyone's getting their remasters. When it's our time, us KOTOR fans, somehow we forget how the fuck to do it. That's why I want to know what happened.
I mean, I think it's... I would imagine it's just really tough to remake an MMO. It's not that easy. Are there any other MMOs that have been remade? Does anyone know? Like, I can't think of any remade MMOs. Like, I just don't think it's that simple. Isn't it an MMO? Am I mixing it up with something else? What is it officially classed? Is it just like a massive RPG? So I guess if it doesn't have any online elements, then it should be easier. It's still a massive game. So, like, it's still huge. Oh, I was like, what on earth? The Ring doorbell's going off, and the poor FedEx guy, he's like breaking his back. I think our blinds are being delivered, so he's like lugging these massive boxes up on his shoulders. I was like, what is he doing? Okay, I think it's my blinds. We're having all the blinds replaced, boys and girls. It's like a whole thing. It's a RPG. Okay, where did I get MMO from? Why was I thinking that? I don't know. Ignore me, guys. I'm a professional. So I mean that should be easier, but I mean I guess if it's a big RPG, it's still probably like difficult. But yeah, certainly easier than I was thinking. I was thinking all this time, like as we're looking at it, like, oh man, all the networking code involved in it. That's gonna be a nightmare and very expensive. But I can see why they do it because it would probably print money. But no, if it's just like a CRPG, like it's still difficult to do. There's still a lot to do, but like. KOTOR single player, The Old Republic is the MMO. Oh, okay. Then maybe that's where I got it mixed up. Knights of the Old Republic is a CRPG. The Old Republic is the MMO. Okay, now I feel less stupid. Okay. Crisco, thank you for the 2. Thoughts on the new The Walking Dead game being a dumpster fire? We actually just looked at it. We pulled up the video, so we did just look at it earlier in the stream. So you can go back, check that, because yeah, we dug into it. Looks terrible, but not as bad as some of the other games we've had this year. Oh wait, I read that one from James. Let's see. And on Twitch, we're still rocking and rolling. Thank you to all the new followers and stuff. Appreciate you guys. Okay, let's finish this out.
What was so bad that we had to scrap it? And look, my optimistic take, the only shred of decency I got for you in this video is that maybe we dodge a bullet here, in that what would hurt more, many people are asking, that the game never sees the light of day or that we get something awful. And I would rather no than not at all. That is my answer to you. I would rather have an idea when it comes out and go, that didn't work out. And it would suck, but at least I know. At least I'm aware now. Versus it never happening at all and just getting robbed of a potential full circle moment for me. The reason I love games, going into Circuit City, I read choose your own adventure books all the time. I'd never played an RPG before, so I didn't know this genre existed. I always said, I wish there was a video game that did what choose your own adventure books.
Oh man, those good old game manuals. I miss that. For me, I'd go to like GameStop because I couldn't afford to buy them new. So go into GameStop, get a used copy, and they always had the game manuals in. Those were the days, man. What a tragedy we don't have that anymore. Oh. What a throwback.
Did. I see in the $10 bin at Circuit City, platinum hits, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. I love Star Wars, right? Early 2000s is the era of like Revenge of the Sith, Attack of the Clones, Phantom Menace, right? So, of course, Star Wars, pick it up. And I fire it up and it's there. You create your own character. I'm like, yeah, this is the choose your own adventure game I always wanted, aka an RPG. But this game also, beyond any nostalgia I have, this game deserves a remake. It absolutely does. There still, in my humble opinion, isn't a better Star Wars game, a better Star Wars story than what's in the first KOTOR. If you were to sit down, we're in a room, Mr. Matty, list your perfect stories in entertainment. I wouldn't think, because that list is only 2 items. Number 1, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Wouldn't change a thing. 2, Death Note. List ends there. There are candidates. Last of Us is one that comes to mind. For the part 1, I mean. But this game is timeless. And one of the few...
I mean, as somebody who has not played this, I will say that what is on screen, without nostalgia factoring in, because again, I'd never played it, I don't have the nostalgia. What's on screen right now clearly has aged very, very poorly. Which is why, you know, a remake for this would be more difficult than for like The Last of Us Part 1, because you cannot reuse animations, you can't reuse assets, everything would have to be redone.
Few mainstream representations we have of the Old Republic, beyond the aging MMO that I do like, but is not.
The Old Republic. This is probably why I was thinking that, because I think earlier he showed footage of this, of the Old Republic, and I just like passively was like, oh, so it's the same game.
What I fell in love with, and what many people fell in love with. Since I know many developers and people working at these companies who are making this game watch my video, I am not in the understanding mood right now. I don't give a shit if emotions are high. Get your shit together. It's fucking Star Wars, and it's a fucking remake, dude. I really don't think anyone needs to spell it out for you. I'm a game developer. I know this shit is not easy. I know it's not, but look, let's stop acting like we don't have the blueprint to success right there. And so help me God, if I hear in a report that it's because we wanted some movie game instead of just the janky little RPG that KOTOR is, I will lose my mind. But please, get it together. It's inexcusable how long this rumor mill has been churning for upwards of a decade now. It's inexcusable. This is how long we've carried on for with a KOTOR remake, just lingering, and it gets finally announced, and nothing, man. And it felt like a recipe for success, man. It really did. You had PlayStation backing it, who I think you can believe in PlayStation because they're known for quality. They're a good publisher at the
except for live service games. They're not very good at that.
Bare minimum. Thought there was something there. And I even took Xbox to task when I had learned that they passed on this project. I'm like, that's your heritage, bro. This was an OG Xbox exclusive. What are you doing?
Maybe, just maybe though, like let's play devil's advocate just a little bit, because you know it's me and I gotta do that. The first prototype vertical slice thing that they showed to executives was so bad they basically fired the whole team. And then the next team that starts working on it, it gets put on ice and they kind of set it aside. It very well could be that it's just these teams are not capable of getting this remade to the standard that would be demanded of a modern Star Wars game. And it's like Maddie said earlier, would you rather like not see it come to the light of day and just leave it where it is? Or would you like to get a broken pile of garbage or just something that's not as good as you remember? Like it very well could be that the team just is not capable of doing it. Like it's not that far out of question. Because again, like we're talking about Embracer Group, who has struggled to put out anything of quality consistently in the last like 5 years. They might get one hit every once in a while, like with Dying Light 2 or something, or Dead Island 2 rather. But beyond that, like they tend to really, really struggle. For every hit, there's 5 flops, or maybe 2 flops or 1 flop, and then a handful of mediocre titles that might break even a little bit. Like I would not put a lot of confidence in them to just figure it out and put it together. Of course, if Larian was doing it, okay, yeah, you can be confident it's going to be amazing. But if Larian were doing it, I don't think they'd remake it. I think that they would go and make their own, which I think would honestly probably be better, but that's just me.
And I wonder about the outcomes there. What happens if Xbox gets involved? Who is to blame here? I guess at the end of the day, that doesn't really matter. That's where my emotions are talking, right?
Society.
At the end of the day, we need to get it together, okay? We need to figure this out.
Get it together.
Team, let's figure it out and get this back on track.
This is so funny because those of you listening in the stream clips will not realize this, but I said at the top of the stream when we were talking about Pokimane and the cookie thing, I was like, I have a few big pet peeves, like the talking down like to your audience like they're really stupid. That drives me crazy. The like eating with your mouth open drives me crazy. Big pet peeve. Long fingernails on dudes that are like really gross and like yellowed and stuff. It freaks me out. And then the other thing that drives me crazy is like the clapping on sentences where it's like, get your crap together. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. In this context, it's funny because Maddie's freaking out and I love the passion. I love seeing it. But it is funny that we were just talking about this and then he's doing it right here.
Who is to blame here? I guess at the end of the day, that doesn't really matter. That's where my emotions are talking, right? But at the end of the day, we need to get it together, okay? We need to figure this out. Team, let's figure it out and get this back on track. If not, Embracer, sell it off, ship it to someone who will come in and take good care of it. Larian, hello, please save us. Please save us. I'm not even saying that because of Baldur's Gate 3. I'm saying that because of Divinity Original Sin. I'm saying this because of the absolute legacy of incredible RPGs you made. Larian, you are our only hope. Save us, dude, please, because I don't know who else this gets handed off to who can actually do a good job and make sure they're communicating with fans and doing the right thing. I've gone on long enough. Thank you for tolerating me this video. I know I don't behave this way often. I'm sure for many of you it's sobering. Like, wow, just let them have it. But seriously, I'm not in the rationalization type mood. This is ridiculous. And maybe it was just the straw that broke the camel's back. Sure, all the signs are written on the wall. I'm not denying that. But this is ridiculous. So thank you for tolerating me. Thank you for just listening and letting me tee off. I hope it was, at least for you KOTOR fans out there, cathartic. Because I'm out here trying to fight for you too. Like, I know I'm no hero. I'm not trying to act like one. I'm not the main character here, bro. I'm not trying to be one. I'm just trying to use my platform to push to these developers and publishers that we want this thing, and we wanted it yesterday. There was a KOTOR 3 that was canceled. Like, this should be the least cursed franchise, and somehow it is the most cursed franchise, next to Battlefront, which can't reach 3 for some reason, and DICE shut down support of that 3.5 years. Just ridiculous, man. I can't get over how they treat this series, man. It disgusts me at times. Like, Respawn is literally the beacon of hope right now in the midst of Star Wars games. I am looking forward to Star Wars Galaxies, but man, or whatever the hell they call it, fucking Star Wars, I don't know. My brain's shutting off now. The Ubisoft game, I'm done.
It's funny. I get like this sometimes. Like, I did it with some Starfield videos where, like, the Creation Engine 2 video where I'm like, guys, it's a number 2 next to the Creation Engine. It's not magic. It's still the Creation Engine. Like, this isn't math, rocket science, whatever. And it drives me crazy because people act like it's totally a new thing. And then the game came out and shock-a-doodle-doo. Luke was right. It's the same Creation Engine. Game still runs like crap. Oh, it's like we could have seen that coming if we thought critically. So, like, I'll get hyped up and high emotion with some topics, and like you start to lose your vision starts to tunnel in, and you start to just stop making sense. So I've been where Maddie's at with this. I feel it. I feel you, bro. I think Disney's involvement with all this has made it probably far more difficult to get any of this done. I've spoken to a handful of people recently who have been involved in the production of games that like Disney's involved with the IP, and the level of hoops that they have to jump through really is crazy. Like, if they want to add in, and I'll keep it vague, of course, but if they want to add in a level, they have to go have a conference call scheduled with Disney people and get those ideas approved for what they want to do, and then they get art designed for it. They have to send that to Disney, get that approved. Disney might make alterations, so they have to redo it, and then they send that back. And then they're like, oh, and we need certain types of enemies to populate this, or vehicles, or whatever, or alien life or something. And so they have to send their concept art for that to Disney. Disney looks at it, says, nope, we don't like these don't work, send it back. They redo it, and it goes back and forth 3 times, and then they get it back, and then they're like, okay, so now let's build this out. Then they build it out in the game, and then they send that over for them to review. And this has to happen for literally every single thing in the game. Like, every single element of the game has to be approved like that. And that's why developing KOTOR way back in the day, pre-Disney acquisition, was not that big of a deal. Like, it was relatively straightforward. Now you have to jump through those Disney hoops, and Disney hoops are crazy. There's so much crap that you have to put up with. So it's really difficult for the devs to handle. And like, to defend Disney on this, Disney's doing it because they know what they have. They know that the Star Wars IP is iconic. And if they were to just let you do whatever you want, like, we would play a Star Wars game, and then all of a sudden, like, you look up and there's like, I don't know what you would see. Like, you just see something totally insane and out of place. Like, there's just a straight up Taco Bell, space Taco Bell, sitting on the corner of one of the city streets. And you're like, that seems weird. That seems odd. Huh. And, it wouldn't click right, but it's because they didn't offer that oversight. And so Disney takes the steps to oversee everything and be involved actively with every element of it. And that can be a blessing and a curse, because it protects the IP, but it also slows down production to a crazy, crazy extent. And this is one of the frustrations with it, I think, also, is that it makes it really hard to get these games across the finish line, because it's just frankly not that easy to develop games under those standards, and demands. James, thank you for the 2. Last thing Stan Lee approved was Aunt May for the PS4. Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting. Just a reminder how George Lucas should have kept the franchise. We've lost so many good potential movies and games. Yeah, but he wanted those billions. He got his money. He got his bag. He went off. I don't know what he's doing now. Is he still involved at all? I don't even know. Jinx Shot, thank you also for the sub with Prime over on Twitch, my friend. Thank you. Appreciate you. I don't even know if Stan Lee is still doing his thing. Not Stan Lee, if George Lucas. Stan Lee passed away, but I don't know if George Lucas is still doing his thing. He's big retired. But does he still have, like, does he send a proxy to the meetings to, like, make sure it's to his standards or whatever that means? Or is he just totally mentally checked out? He's just checked out and doesn't care? Huh. I can't blame him. Like, he's been working on the IP for 40 years, and I've always wondered with some of these guys. And then we could wrap this up, but like with the Maddie Knights of the Old Republic discussion, I still think it's interesting. Like I've always wondered with these creative types that make an IP that's super successful, do they just get like totally freaking bored of it? You know, like they've designed this amazing franchise like Star Wars, and then they work on it for years and years and years, and it becomes this international sensation, and everybody's obsessed with it. Anybody sees you in public, they bring it up. And it's all anybody wants to talk to you about day in, day out. Do they eventually just get like super sick of it? And they're like, oh my God, shut up, please. I'll sell it to Disney. I don't want to ever have to think about it again. Leave me alone. Like, surely there's something like that. Oh, Kinneberg, I did see that. Yeah, George Lucas in the background of like a family picture. I did see that. Probably bored AF. They can never let it rest. It's their baby. Yeah, I could see that. But then I think also for some people, like it just gets to the point where the billions are just too nice, too enticing. Because eventually, like, no matter what franchise it is, eventually the fan base will start to split. And a fantastic example are the prequels for Star Wars, where like the prequels, when they launched, everybody openly mocked and they were terrible and cringy, blah, blah, blah. And now we're at a point where the prequels now are almost like revered because they're better than what we recently got with that trilogy. So now like Hayden Christensen, who went away for like 10 years or 15 years, comes back to all of these like Comic-Con events and everything, and everybody's giving him a standing ovation and is so happy to see him, and he's welcomed back. But when he left, you know, he was the villain. He was somebody that everybody was like, you're part of the reason Star Wars is ruined. And I think like that inevitably will happen with anything, where it will fracture and split off, and some people will be happy with it, some people won't. You know, if they do another trilogy of Harry Potter movies, I have no doubt that Fantastic Beasts will become a cult classic, and then people will be like, oh no, those were the days when we got those movies were great, we loved those. So it's just gonna happen. But for George, like, because he's there through the whole thing, I could see you getting kind of frustrated or fed up with the constant scrutiny involved with it, where everybody's always holding your feet to the fire. You're the reason this sucks. You're the reason it changed. And it's just got to be fed up with it. You know? Oh yeah, that's right. HBO is doing a Harry Potter series, so I guess they're not doing another trilogy of movies. Yeah, we'll see how that turns out. Have they confirmed what it's about? Is it like just retelling the story of the books? I know that was being discussed, but I don't know if they ever confirmed it. I haven't kept up with my Harry Potter news. I'm sorry, guys. If you need to unsub, I get it. It's one book per season. Oh, we'll see how that goes. Everybody was joking that like they're gonna cast everybody, and Harry's gonna be in like a wheelchair, and Hermione's actually like a fish person, and Ron is a furry, and it's like, no, she never said that they weren't furries. And it's just gonna be the most toxic thing ever. I kind of have hope that something like that happens, so we'll see. Okay, end segment, Jacob. End segment. Oh, man, they don't need to redo Harry Potter. Yeah, they just need some of that money. They need some of that money. Oh man. Oh yes, I totally forgot about this. Hold on, let me look this up. Okay, this is actually a really weird and quirky thing. Okay, I want to talk about this. Suicide Squad test or play test. Oh, is there something they just announced? I don't see anything yet. Hold on. Alpha test has been announced. Players can register for a chance to play the game later this month. Oh, sure. Let's do it. Let's sign up for this real quick. I guess everybody should sign up for this if you want a chance to play it. They are asking for information on what games you've played. Frequently, I do play Overwatch, looter shooter, not really. Massively multiplayer, World of Warcraft, not actively. Role-playing games, yup. Yeah, I can enjoy that. Playing my next move, immersed in the world, feeling part of the social life, sure. Melee, intense competition. I enjoyed, yeah, sure. I enjoy all of those. I've played Batman Arkham. I did try Destiny 2 for like 3 hours. I've played Warframe, Assassin's Creed, Spider-Man, Rainbow Six I have played. Borderlands 3 I've played. Halo Infinite, yes. Division 2, no, I played Division 1 for a bit. I've watched my friend play that one. Marvel's Avengers. How many hours a week do you spend playing games? Oh, geez, I don't know. Like maybe something like that. Oh, and which platforms? Probably PC, PS5. All of them. Okay, boom. There we go. Easy peasy. I probably won't get picked once they look at the name on it, but you never know. Where's the link? Let me share it. Where to go? Here, I'll put this in chat for everybody. Here. Okay, I'll have to link this one. So on this page on VGC, you just click on the test in that first thing, okay? This is to register for the alpha play test to play Suicide Squad early. So I just put that in chat so you can do that and try to sign up, and maybe one of you guys will get in. That'd be super cool. Okay. I'm going to use the bathroom real quick, and then we have one more segment I want to do on one of the craziest little chapters of video game stuff. It was like a whole thing. Okay, I'll be right back. XQC reaction time. Okay, I'm back. Let's do it. It's nice having a bathroom right next to the studio, I'll tell you what. Okay. Oh, is this still up? Oh, it is. Okay, I want to show you this. Okay. Ba 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 ba. Let's do it. Okay. Got everything pulled up. Okay. Voila. Voila. Okay, here we go. So, one of the most interesting little tidbits. Okay, there we go. One of the most interesting little stories through the history of Fallout was in the lead up to the launch of Fallout 4. And it was really, really bizarre because everybody was so eager for something to happen, for something to be announced, that some of the fans started banding together to troll other fans and basically fake a bunch of announcements. And it was pretty elaborate what some of these groups went to. And there was one thing specifically called the Survivor 2299 hoax. And this is something I just totally forgot about until I saw one of these old videos pop up from like way back when. And again, like this was just a collection of Bethesda fans, it seemed, that were faking it. I mean, you can go and ask people back in the day, because of course it's a throwback, but it was a Fallout 4 announcement hoax. It was just some fans who made a fake website and countdown that was supposedly teasing the announcement of the game long before there was any confirmation. Everyone got really excited because they thought it was finally happening, and then it was confirmed to be a hoax, and it let everyone down. And like a lot of people like bought into it. A lot of people did. I remember back when it happened, people were pretty convinced it was real. You can see like this was an original YouTube channel that somebody made to do it, pre-release footage property of ZeniMax, and it's a video. Yeah, the hype is real. Still waiting for this masterpiece. And like all this, but Maddie years ago, like in 2014, did a reaction to it. So this is like a time capsule from 2014 to see what people that were really hoping for Fallout 4 to come out, what they thought of it at that time. And it's crazy. Yeah, there were so many videos about this back in the day. People were losing their minds hoping it was real. And it kind of reminds me of that whole abandoned thing where everybody thought that Abandoned was a secret way for Kojima to like announce his upcoming Silent Hills thing, and then it just ended up being like, you know, just a disaster of a game. Like, if you could even call it a game, it was just a joke. So it's kind of like that, but when people want something to be true, they just start to fill in the gaps and you know, make it happen. Sonic Light, good to see you, my friend. Negan is real. Good to see you, my friend. Sonic Light as well. Yeah, this is Maddie. This is old school Maddie, 2014, 9 years ago.
Salutations, my Fallout lovers. It is Maddie here today, bringing you another Fallout 4 reaction video. Because ever since I reacted to that Fallout 4 gameplay, you guys wanted to see me react to more stupid shit that the internet has created. So I found out that there was actually the teaser trailer that we were waiting so long for during the Survivor 2299 was actually a thing. It's actually out right now. And so I'll link you guys to it in the description if you want to see it for yourself. But I'm going to watch this fresh for you guys and react to it as I go. And so let's go ahead and do this.
That was like, it was a whole thing back in like 2014, I think, like that era where all YouTubers were like, hey guys, what's up guys? I love you guys. And guys, we'll chat soon. Guys. Like everybody did that. It was so funny. I don't know if it was PewDiePie or who did it, but yeah, it was a thing.
I see. Inappropriate content for children. I wonder what naked people we're going to see. It's totally not a ham radio from Fallout 3. You can already tell it's Fallout 3 from the green tint on the screen. Are you fucking kidding me? Enclave flag skeleton. And if this was an actual teaser trailer, I mean, they basically fucked themselves by putting the Vault Boy right there. Like, right there, I'd be like, oh, it's Fallout. You know, what kind of excitement is that? And, you know, it's got to have Fallout 4 as the text at the end or some shit like that. Wow, look at these fantastic 2008 graphics. I'm really appreciating that.
I love Skeptical Maddie.
Yeah, look at the vents. Those are clearly reused assets. Oh, dead bodies, dude. There must have been some type of conflict. Oh my god. Just look at... Where the fuck's this tree even coming from? Where's that tree? Is it just coming through the wall? Oh no, it's like moss or leaves coming down the walls. Oh, man. Where the fuck is this anyways? There was like no levels to the building. Like, was it all just
You can also
somehow
tell it's like
completely obliterated?
hand controlled with like a controller.
Road closed.
Instead of actually
Totally
like
wasn't
passed.
skip in between as he
with
started
the camera
a new recording
scripted.
segment. Oh, dude, into the same bus from Fallout 3. That's what's with people making fake shit and using Fallout 3. Oh man, dude, hype, holy shit.
Can you imagine how underwhelming it would be if that was the actual announcement of Fallout 4? Like, can you imagine if that's what the trailer was?
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I can't lie, that's pretty cool. If he just did that alone, I would have lost my shit. That's from Skyrim.
Yeah, it is just straight up Skyrim. I mean, like, what was the original Fallout 4 announcement trailer?
Peggy 18.
Like the original trailer, way different. I mean, similar style. I don't want to get copyright struck. But like graphically way better than Fallout 3. You see this little transitionary thing. And then like, it's just way, way better. But can you imagine if that other trailer is how they announced it? Just how crestfallen everyone would be. Oh man. But yeah, there's a lot of people out there that will just straight up like fake trailers, make stuff up just to see what the reaction's going to be because they find it funny to troll people who are really hyped. And you know what? It is a little funny. I'll be real. It is a little funny, but still a little toxic too. Okay. I lied. There's one more thing we were going to do. There was one more thing we were going to do. And it was Todd Howard on Wired. Okay, so we should see this.
I am Todd Howard here at...
Hold on, Todd. Hold on. Hold on, Todd. Toddothy. Tomothy. Toddwick. I'm currently watching on both YouTube and Twitch. My brain is about to explode. Mad props, dude. Mad props. I am Todd Howard. Say my name. Okay. Todd Howard, the one and only, went on Wired and broke down his gaming career, offered some insights into the past and also into the future. And in this frame, you can see everything he worked on. I mean, it's crazy seeing like, you know, Daggerfall, Daggerfall. Redguard. I can't read. I was trying too hard to read it. Redguard. I was like, it's red something. Redguard. Morrowind, Oblivion, Fallout 3, Skyrim, Fallout 4, Fallout 76, and Starfield. It is interesting. Like 3 on the 360. 1, I don't think Redguard even launched on console. That was probably PC only. So yeah, it's cool saying like this is his whole career basically, or all these games. But like his whole career, he's done this. Isn't that crazy to think of? Like it's just crazy. So let's see what he has to say. I'm gonna get Todd out of the closet too.
I am Todd Howard here at Bethesda Game Studios. You might know me from games like Skyrim, the Fallout series, and now Starfield. And I'm here to talk to Wired about some of the games that we've made. What people don't know about this game is one of the...
I realized me saying just casually, I'm gonna get Todd out of the closet sounded weird. Probably seemed like an odd thing to do. There you go, Todd. There you go. Now he's with us always. Always with us, watching over us. This is not weird at all.
The first full 3D shooters where you look at controls today with mouse look controls and using WSAD. This is the first PC game to ever do it. I had just started at Bethesda. This is in the mid-90s. Team sizes were small. We're talking like 10 people, 12 people, tops. Everybody had to do a lot of different things. So I did a bit of programming. I was producing. I did level design. I became the sound effects guy. What's fun with this is the old manual that came with the game. And there's a sketch in the back. There's a lot of cool artwork here. And one of our concept artists did a sketch of the core team here, positioned as if we were the resistance in the Terminator world. And there's me in the back, and I remember David Plunkett here, the artist who drew it, just said, Todd, I gave you the biggest gun.
That's super cool.
Whenever you're on a team, even if it's 4 people or 400 people, learning how to use everybody's skills and work together is, what gets you the best game. So, a couple of these games, starting with Terminator, is the beginnings for me at Bethesda. And there's a couple of different phases and chapters in terms of the games we made, the platforms that we're on, and how everybody worked together.
It's crazy to think that like AAA games used to be made by like 7 people in a year, It's crazy.
Daggerfall is a game where so much of it is a giant procedural world where we're relying on the computer to generate all of the content and put the individual things that we had built kind of in smart places around the world. Think about 3D today. That work is being done by GPUs. Here, it's all done on the CPU. How we built the world is we have a height map where you get a bunch of vertices at a certain period, and then you're building a height map for the landscape, and then instancing, building 3D objects that get replicated over and over on that height map. And believe it or not, it's how we build games today. It also pushes, for us as we do role-playing games, what kind of character that you're gonna create. So Daggerfall's character system really is this jump up in terms of defining yourself. What are the advantages of your character? What are the disadvantages of your character?
I wanna know where he got that box. That's crazy, dude. It's like foiled and everything. It's wild. It's wild. And like, to give Todd credit with all this, I know like we meme on him. Yes, I have a cardboard cutout of him. Like we joke about, Todd's sweet little lies and stuff. The dude is a legend, okay? Like we joke about it. He is a legend in the industry. Like he is a master commander, okay? Like we can poke fun. He is responsible for some of the biggest games in history. He's the brains behind the operation of a lot of like Western RPGs and a lot of the craze behind open world adventure games. If you like open world adventure games, a lot of that is because of Todd Howard's work. Like, again, we meme on him and we joke about it. He is actually, no joke, a very huge part of gaming as an art form today.
And brings in for the first time the Elder Scrolls skill system that so many people know now from games like Skyrim. And this game had a lot of success, really brought the Elder Scrolls to a new audience. Redguard is the first game that I was the main project leader on. Didn't do that well. It's the last kind of DOS-based PC game that we made. It might be one of the last DOS games. It's right when 3D acceleration starts coming out. Really didn't hit a technology window or a gameplay style. I mean, it's listed as an adventure game, but it's a true genre mashup. It has some adventure game elements. It has action game elements. It has some role-playing elements. I guess you could say at that time, we started making a lot of games instead of focusing, and none of them turned out really, really great. And the company was in a really difficult position financially, and I did feel responsible, and I kind of stepped back from it and said, it's a really good game. Where did it not resonate? What's the takeaway? And it was just too conservative. We made a very, very small game. I think it's well crafted, but we weren't as ambitious as we could have been, and not what our audience we'd had at the time from Daggerfall and Arena really wanted from us when it came to the Elder Scrolls.
It is interesting, like hearing some of these lessons learned early in his career and seeing how it affected the games that would come for a decade, 2 decades after. Like, I think one of Todd's perhaps greatest strengths is also one of his weaknesses, which is that he always pushes perhaps too far. Like, he's very concerned with being ambitious and wanting to do things bigger and badder. But often for Todd, the problem is just that their technology that they're using can't keep up. Like, the creation engine just can't keep up with the vision for Starfield. I think Starfield built in a different engine that was more capable of greater fluidity, shall we say. I think Starfield is a much better game if you can manage that, but I think Todd's ambition sometimes is overshadowed by the technical limitations, which, I mean, it's true for every developer, but
the companies,
it had too few planets. The planets, it had too many planets that were not interesting enough. Like, I think Starfield would have been much better served if it weren't as ambitious in the counts and the numbers. Like, if it went for just 5 planets in the solar system for you to go explore, and those had all the procedural stuff, but you can explore the whole planet in a seamless way, like, that would have been awesome. But again, he just wanted the 1,000 planets number because it sounded really good.
Struggling. We probably have one more shot if we're going to stay in business. So let's go all in. The company was kind of sold to ZeniMax Media, a new company, and reformed around that. The decision came down, we're going to have one team. It's going to be under Todd, and we're going to do Morrowind. We aimed very high. We were very, very ambitious to bring back the Elder Scrolls with a core team that we had, but taking the learnings from a game like Redguard, where we are hand building a world, but now we're doing it on a larger scale compared to the games people know today. It's actually still very, very small, but it's very, very detailed. And the other big thing that comes with Morrowind, we finally took it to console. So if we go back to the year 2000, Microsoft is thinking about creating the Xbox. And technically...
Oh my God, look at that. They did him so dirty. Look at that freeze frame. Oh man, and the big chonky controller. Oh dude, they didn't even clean off the plexiglass. Look how dirty the plexiglass is. Man, these presentations used to be so freaking clunky. It was so funny. But I mean, it is weird now that we live in an age where we have all these gaming consoles and gaming is so mainstream. You know, it's like a Renaissance painting. You know, like now it's just par for the course. Like, it's not that shocking. It's pretty much expected that we have all these gaming consoles, but there was a time where there were not like these kingpins of the gaming industry. Like, the Xbox comes along and is like, yeah, we're taking on the PlayStation, we're taking on Nintendo. It was kind of crazy to see that happen. And then PlayStation starts investing even more money. And then console gaming pretty much becomes Xbox and Sony head to head. And then like Nintendo's off in the corner doing their own thing. But, you know, this is all a pretty novel concept, especially when you compare like gaming as an industry is, you know, however many billions upon billions of dollars every year. And films and movies and stuff, you know, are also however many billions of years or billions of dollars a year. But gaming is so much newer. It's so much younger than that industry, than even film. And so who knows what it's going to look like in 20, 30, 40 years as it continues to evolve. But all of this is still very fresh. It's crazy.
It was great for us, right? It's a very PC styled console, has a hard drive, so many things that we would be looking for in a console. And the big question was, how do we, you know, translate the controls and all of those things? Fortunately, we are all here today because this game was a huge success. I was stunned. Obviously, it did well on the PC, but on Xbox at the time, it became the second best-selling game behind Halo.
It is wild how one game can change, or one thing really. It's true even in my industry of like YouTube. If you have one video that just explodes, that can kickstart an entire career. You just need one big success for things to change.
Instead of coming out with a quick sequel to Morrowind, why don't we take 4 years and really go ambitious again for the next console with hardware that doesn't exist. Team size now is getting up to around 60, 70 people. And this is a game where the core group from Morrowind was still here. We could build on that and be ambitious. We changed the technology hugely again, getting into pixel shaders. We're having to guess on
A program that renders lighting, shading, and color effects on each frame on a per pixel basis versus normal maps. So normal maps are very flat, lacking any sort of dynamic color or lighting, whereas pixel maps way different. And I'd say, I mean, it's a huge visual upgrade for sure. For 4 years, this is night and day.
Hardware. So whenever you're doing technology in your own side of massive amounts of content and art and design, and then you have a moving hardware target, it's the most difficult game development or any type of exercise that you could do as it comes to tech. There was a moment we were making the game with Xbox where that console didn't have as much memory as we wanted. And when they finally called us and told us that they were doubling the memory on the console they were shipping, we threw a party here. And I have never seen programmers look so happy in my entire life. This was a game that, for many reasons, it vaulted us to an audience we had never expected to see on the PC and the Xbox. It comes out later on PlayStation. And it really starts this other era of games for us, the 360 era.
Yeah, it's always amazed me that these developers will start creating a game before they even know what the hardware is going to be like that runs it. Like, we're all talking about, GTA 6 right now, because obviously GTA 6 is we're just probably a week or two away from seeing it. And that's a game that they started back when the PS4 was still, the active console. And so they're developing it with the expectation that in the future we'll have much faster stuff. And I'm sure they have calls with like Sony. If Rockstar calls and is like, hey, PlayStation, hey, Xbox, what's the thing that's going on? Like, what should we be focusing on? Like, are we getting a way faster SSD? Are we getting this or that? What are we thinking of in terms of ballpark of rendering capabilities? And they get like ballpark ideas, but they don't get dev kits till much, much later. So I would assume they get a little bit of info and they hear rumblings and stuff, but in general, like more broadly, they're probably just kind of guesstimating on what they actually have to work with. And so they have to build it in a way where it can scale back or even scale up a little bit. And perhaps that's why we see some more conservative games come out that are very, just treading water right around the time these games launch. Or consoles launch, rather.
We were asked, what else does the team want to do? What do you want to do, Todd? It'd be good to have more than one franchise or one game every 4 to 5 years. At the top of our list was Fallout. It was a series that we had loved, that had come out a while ago, and we were able to get the license. This game comes out, I believe, about 2.5 years only after Oblivion. Uses a very similar technology base that we had built. It's our second game on the Xbox 360. One of the things that happens with games is knowing your tools, knowing the level of technology, and getting your whole team used to working with that pays big dividends. It's also really special because we're picking up a franchise that we hadn't worked in before. It's very new for us, it's very exciting, but how is it going to resonate when we translate basically somebody else's work the way we would do it or the style of game that we enjoyed best? And this game was even more popular than Oblivion. Some of that audience came with us, and it also found an all-new audience because yes, there's post-apocalyptic things in movies and literature and games, obviously, but really there's nothing like Fallout. It's the world before the bombs fall. This world where the view of the nuclear future is this utopia that then gets destroyed. And it also has my favorite beginning of a game. This idea that when you leave the vault, you had spent your whole life there.
Yeah, this is really interesting. I didn't know this was his favorite intro because I have some strong feelings.
Of a game. This idea that when you leave the vault, you had spent your whole life there, And how do you make the player feel that way? So us jumping through this montage of these periods of your life, I think it's on your first birthday in the game, when you're a baby and you're able to walk around, you press the button and the baby says, Dada. That's actually my son on his first birthday that I recorded saying that back to me. So very special game for me.
Well, that is super sweet, super cool. My frustration, sub Astro Grizzly, my frustration with the opening of Fallout 3 is that, for one, subsequent run throughs, absolutely, it's a trudge. But that's not my biggest problem. My biggest problem with Fallout 3 is that like the whole game is structured around you following your dad, who's doing all the cool stuff, and then you're like the secondary character with the whole thing. It's so different for BGS games, because normally BGS, like especially Skyrim is the best example. It is just, you're the superhero, you're the god among men, like you're able to do whatever you want, you're amazing, you're stunning, brave and beautiful. And with Fallout 3, it's just like the total opposite. It's like, yeah, your dad's doing all this amazing stuff. Liam Neeson's amazing. You just go like try to figure out where he is. Like that's kind of the whole game. Like that's the whole game. It's really, really weird. And they did sort of a reversal in Fallout 4 where now you're the father looking for your son, and your son's now doing all the cool stuff, and you're the father and you're just like following him along. You know, it's just the opposite flipped back. And honestly, I don't think I like either. Like, I just don't think they work too well. I think Skyrim does it great when it's a big sandbox, because Bethesda at its core, I don't think they make RPGs. I don't think I would call any of these RPGs. I would call them like sandbox adventure games. Yeah, there's like action RPG elements. There's little stuff here and there, but more broadly, they're adventure games. And they're sandbox games. They're designed for you to do kind of whatever you want. You run around, you just have fun. You just dick around. Like, they're junk food sandbox games. And when they try to be RPGs, like intense RPGs, they fail. And it just falls flat. Like, it's why with Fallout 4, everybody's like, don't mess with the main story. Just go do the side stuff. The side stuff's where it excels. And I would agree. Same with Fallout 3. The side stuff is where the game is at its best. When you try to do the main story, it starts to get really weak and shaky. So I think like Bethesda's at its best when they understand what they do well, but when they have these moments where they're like, yeah, and we're going to do a really intense story this time, you get a Fallout 4 and it just kind of ends up being a jumbled mess.
And that sits right with Oblivion. Well, I think the one we're best known for is Skyrim. Now the team has grown. Now we're about 100 people. And you're looking at a team that grew from Morrowind to Oblivion to Fallout 3 and then to Skyrim. We were really firing on all cylinders in Skyrim, and it shows. We also started pushing the modding community. Modding is when you modify a game. You take it, you change something. People want to create their own adventures or artwork or anything. Our games allow it. We're huge fans of it. It's kind of how I started back on the Apple II, changing other games. It's still a complicated role-playing game, but the number of people who had never played a game like ours, or some people not even any video game, they came to Skyrim. So that right there.
I mean, Skyrim to this day is still just such a, it really is incredible. Like I've gone back and tried to be like, do the stereotypical YouTuber thing. Was it ever that good? Was it just marketing hype? Was it what? And I really do think Skyrim is that good. I don't think anybody's delusional or thinking of it with rose-tinted glasses. Like, I really do think Skyrim is that good, but it's because like it encapsulates what Bethesda does really, really well, and it doesn't try to do anything too much beyond that. It's just Bethesda in their prime doing what they do best. Not trying to push too much, not trying to do the hardcore RPG, not trying to do any sort of crazy base building or space sim stuff. Like they're just doing what they need to do, and they're so good at it. And then we get into like the most recent era of BGS games where I think they start to flounder a little bit.
There is kind of that 360 era for us with our role-playing games where they find an audience that we never ever expected to find, a level of popularity, and us here learning how to make these games. The team's about 110 or so after Skyrim, and we set our sights on the next Fallout.
Game of the Year achievement unlocked. Whose Game of the Year? Whose Game of the Year? What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Todd? Come off it. Okay. I mean, I know they, of course, didn't win Game of the Year at the Game Awards. That went to The Witcher 3. I'm like 99% sure. So, like, they didn't get it there. But I'm sure some magazine gave them Game of the Year so they can say it. But come on. Yeah, it's Todd's Game of the Year.
Skyrim is the first creation engine game where we had redone a lot of the technology that then feeds into Fallout 4. New scripting system, how we're handling all of the NPCs and the AI, the era of Xbox One, right? Where the technology level jumps up again. And we had a very, very dynamic world with this game. If you look back in Morrowind, we have NPCs that feel believable for that era, but they're pretty much standing around. They're signposts. As we go into Oblivion, we push that. The NPCs could wander around. They had day-night schedules. They went to bed. You could poison them by stealing all the food and then just putting poison apples around. They would decide to eat that. Fallout 4, it does feel like a good action game in your hands, but it has those RPG systems. Everything can be used for crafting or used in some respect. So everything you pick up has these base components. Build your own settlements, modify your guns, modify your power armor.
And again, like these systems are really, really cool. But this is where I think sometimes Todd's ambition can get away from him, because like this stuff was cool, but in the context of the main story, it didn't make any damn sense at all. Your son's been kidnapped and is missing, and your wife murdered in front of you. And instead of chasing them down to try and get help, it's like, I'm going to dick around and turn these glass bottles into a wall, and I'm going to build myself a little shed. And then you say, oh, Luke, you're supposed to do that after you finish the main story. Well, I would say not really, because they have multiple quests in the main story where they ask you to engage with the base building stuff, like to get into the Institute, or one of the first things you do with the Minutemen and those guys. So I thought tonally it just didn't really fit that well, which is why if they didn't do the main story the way they did, and if it was more like, instead of your son being kidnapped, if it was more just like, you know, your wife got killed because they were going to try to take her, but then, you know, she got shot or died or something, then at least you could be like, oh, he decided to just move on. His wife is dead. He's not going to chase the guy down and try to get revenge. He's just going to move on and engage with these other systems. Then I think it would work. But the particular story that they chose to start with just makes it so if you take the story seriously, you aren't going to engage with any of the other stuff that they have, you know, put up on the table.
Minute to minute, I think Fallout 4 is a huge success for us for just how a game feels in your hands.
And I would agree. I mean, I think playing Fallout 4 like an adventure game and ignoring the main story, you can have an amazing time with it. It's very, very good. But I think if you try to play it like an RPG, if you try to play it the way that they kind of present it to you initially, you're going to have a bad time.
So we have Fallout 4, and then really an offshoot of Fallout 4 that is multiplayer.
Oh, I want to hear what he's saying. What's he going to say about this?
Every
Xbox exclusive 500 atoms, baby. Oh, man, what a deal.
Every game we do, everyone...
Yeah, achievement, the only achievement going online. That's all I can say about that.
When asks us to do multiplayer, we usually decide, obviously, not to. With Fallout 4, we had gotten inspired by these online survival games a lot of us were playing. We said, well, if we ever did multiplayer for Fallout, that's how we would do it. You know, borrows a lot of systems from Fallout 4. It's the first game really where we do that, where you can see things from the previous game almost directly in it. You know, it's a brand new type of game, and I think as people know, we struggled. And despite its issues, we had a lot of success.
A wasted wasteland. Is this an out-of-season April Fool's joke? A beautifully crafted but ultimately repetitive world, a pointless walk in the post-apocalypse. Ooh!
Successes. We built our own online platform from scratch. Sold really well. We had a core audience playing the game despite its problems who were telling us, we love this. Please fix it. We joined with our community in having that communication about what would make the game better, how do we go about it, and us here learning how to get in a cadence and continue to update a game, put our heads down, do the hard work. And today, 5 years later, it is one of our most played games. Now a very big success for us, both in terms of what it's doing for players, but also it made us much, much better developers going through a difficult process.
It's a very good way of phrasing that. How I would phrase it is that they charged full price for a game that was an unmitigated technical disaster, and they intentionally hid the game state from players. And then beyond that, every aspect of the game and its marketing campaign, secondary merchandising, everything was a disaster. Again, just go watch the Internet Historian video if you need a breakdown of the whole situation. It's crazy how many pieces of that were just a disaster. And like, to their credit, it seems to have mostly been a project that was mandated by executives within ZeniMax because they were trying to boost revenue numbers before being acquired by Xbox. So it makes sense why it exists the way it does, but that doesn't excuse it or make it any less scummy that they went along with it. And, you know, maybe their hands were tied. Todd had no choice at all. But until he says that himself, we're just speculating. Like, I understand he obviously doesn't want to badmouth his bosses or former bosses, but still, either way, it's scummy.
This is an all-new experience. The most ambitious game that we've made, and the scale of it dwarfs everything that we had done so far. For a long time, we wanted to do a space game, something that I've wanted to do for a long time, and something new outside of Fallout and Elder Scrolls, an IP that hasn't existed. So we did our first new IP in almost 30 years. We started development right after Fallout 4. We knew we were going to redo the bulk of our technology. It borrows so much of what we've done in previous games, from the procedural generation in games like Daggerfall. We redid the base engine. That's the whole game loop. When people talk
Creation Engine 2, baby, Creation Engine 2. Oh man.
Engine, they're talking about what is the inner core loop of the game and how all parts talk, not just the renderer. Most people see engine, they think graphics renderer. That's just one part. So we redid the graphics renderer. We had a whole bunch of new AI, new animation system. We have a different system just for crowds, new system for visual effects. And so much of it was new. This project obviously took us a while, and a number of things also happened during this time. We're jumping up in hardware into the Series X and S on Xbox. The pandemic happens, obviously affected everybody in the world, and we became fully part of Xbox as part of them now with this game. You know, each of them on their own create a challenge. All of those things together made this one a challenge, but one that was really, really thrilling for all of us here. And if you see the original pitch of Starfield, go back 10 years ago, the tone, the way the game feels really, really sticks to it.
I mean, I think Starfield, especially in the coming years, is going to be looked on as a game that was too ambitious and that was held back a lot by its technology. Like, I'm so glad to see people kind of snapping out of the coma of hype and starting to see it. There's even people within the Xbox and BGS fanboy community that are saying, like, no, it has a lot of problems. And they were saying at launch, you know, this is one of the greatest games ever made, game of the generation, blah, blah, blah. And they've totally walked that back and are settling on it now. And I think that's good. If you want Bethesda to do their best work, you have to be honest with them. You can't do this crap where you're hyping them up when clearly the game has problems. Starfield has a lot of strengths, but it has a lot of weaknesses too. And I think they all are just born out of a couple of early decisions and priorities that didn't line up with what was probably best for the end experience. Like the embracing of so many load screens for every single room, every building, everything. Like, it's crazy that in the age of the Series X, S, and PlayStation 5 to have a game like that from a major AAA developer, it's just crazy. So I hope that they're taking this feedback and adjusting to it and learning from it. Because I mean, imagine if in 4, 5, 6 years we get the Elder Scrolls 6 and it also has these Starfield levels of load screens, man, people are going to lose their minds.
Look what I made here. After Redguard, the company changes, and now we're part of ZeniMax. We almost had to like reset ourselves and who we were coming into Morrowind, and then we build off that. These share a very similar technology base in the same way these share a technology base, and now this does. If we meet again, there'll be an Elder Scrolls 6 here. You're talking to me, but there's 450 people here. And we still have people that work on 76 and a team there and doing updates for these games. We have about 250 on Starfield. These only exist because of all of those people and us working together. That's why the games are so big. That's why there's so many moving parts and so many interesting things that people will find is that comes from everybody here and all of them putting something special of themselves into it. You know, seeing it visually, even though they're obviously digital, the boxes make it tangible. These are these things. They have kind of their own personalities. And I'm going back and picturing the faces of the people here that I've made them with. There have been so many people that have been on the journey with us here and can't wait to continue it together.
Yeah. And I mean, I know there's been rumors of Todd Howard retiring soon. There was one guy who was posting stuff to Reddit and it's like, I have an inside source. Somebody I know knows Todd Howard and he's saying that he's going to retire because he's really disappointed with the reception of Starfield, blah, blah, blah. It ended up being just like totally made up and, you know, everybody made fun of him until he deleted his stuff. But it was, I think he eventually retires maybe like in 20, 30 years, but I'm guessing he's going to be one of those, like, he's probably going to be one of those, like, Miyamoto types who's just always there and is always at least a presence. So I don't think he's going anywhere. As for, like, how Bethesda continues to evolve and change, I think they just need to take a couple of basic steps towards modernizing. They do have some impressive tech that's powering games like Starfield, but there's also a lot of shortcomings with it. And in the modern day, there are just frankly certain things players have come to expect that were perhaps not even that knowable before the PS5 was announced. Like, I don't think that people at the top of this generation expected 60 FPS to be seen as the minimum requirement. Like, nowadays, if a game is announced and it's 30 FPS only, people lose their freaking minds. But if you rewind the clocks to like 2020, I think it was like, yeah, a performance mode at 60 is nice, but 30 is fine. You know, to 30 is very acceptable. So I think it's understandable why certain priority shifts happened, but moving forward, I think they absolutely need to prioritize modernizing their tool sets, modernizing how their games actually run and operate, because Starfield felt really outdated and continues to feel outdated now. And it's only going to be more obvious how outdated the tech is if they don't make major improvements by the Elder Scrolls 6. My only hope is that the fans can be as clear with Todd as possible, such that he understands it and that it needs to be a priority. And before we get the Elder Scrolls 6, they make the necessary upgrades, because again, in 5-6 years, by the time we get that game, nothing is going to be sitting with load screens between going from outside in the world to inside a building. Like, now it's rare. At the end of the last gen, it was uncommon to see it still in big open world games. Like, you know, whether you look at Red Dead or any of the Assassin's Creed titles or anything like that. But it still occasionally happened. But by 2026 to 2028, whenever we get Elder Scrolls 6, basically nothing is going to have that. And if Bethesda's still doing it, it's going to be a really bad look. So, yeah. I think the DLSS update came out today. That's good to hear. I will update. Real quick, thank you, Bishop, for the $2. Appreciate you, my friend. You think Todd will be there for Fallout 4 or Fallout 5 rather? Yeah, Kenneth, I think so. I don't think he's going anywhere. He might step back and be like, I'm the executive producer on all this, but I'm not going to direct anything anymore. I think that would be fine. Or he'll be like a co-creative director or creative director, but it's mostly just a name. Like, I think he'll stay involved, but I think as he gets older, he probably stops wanting to do the active direction, which I don't blame him. It's a lot of work. Snail down 420 dab. Thank you, my friend, for subbing with Prime over on Twitch, by the way. Appreciate you. I want Xbox to give these games to their other teams. Maybe they do that. I mean, there's been speculation that Xbox might hand off like the New Vegas license to Obsidian and let them take a whack at New Vegas 2 or something. That could be super, super cool. We'll see. We'll see though. But my voice is starting to go out, guys, so I think we'll call it there. I think that's what we'll do. It's just I can feel it starting to get a little sore and scratchy, so I'm not going to push it and then lose my voice. That would be bad for everybody, so we'll call it there. A fantastic stream. Thank you, everybody. This has been a joy. You guys have been amazing. I appreciate you dearly. And yeah, tons of new subs on Twitch, tons of memberships, super chats. You guys are crazy. So yeah, thank you. You guys humble me constantly. Much love. I'll see you in the next one. Hugs and kisses, everybody. Stay safe. I should see you Wednesday, so I'll be back soon. Much love. Bye-bye. I forgot to press the button. Okay, for real. I'm a professional. Bye.